Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where two bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington. I sound a bit downbeat. I'm not. I'm happy. And I'm joined by co-host, always upbeat, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody else.
Hello. Hi there.
I'll tell you what, you might have sounded a little bit, you probably sounded a little bit dark and low energy. This is Horror Hangout After Dark, isn't it? We're recording later than we usually do.
Yeah.
We're recording.
Horror Hangout After Dark. Is it a bit like
Hollyoaks After Dark?
I was just about to say the same thing.
We can say like tits and there might be a murderer.
What was the difference?
Might be a Robert Hawthorne getting you in an old swimming pool and stabbing you up.
What was the difference? Was it literally, was there some swearing and some
I think so.
sexy stuff?
Yeah, but I don't think they did anything overtly sexier because they did swimsuit stuff like all the time on Hollyoaks anyway, didn't they? Like,
I don't know. I used to only watch Hollyoaks. Was it the omnibus
on a Sunday?
On a Sunday.
See what Tony's up to. Yeah, it's not like it became a porno or anything when it was Hollyoaks After Dark. They just say like, shit off, Robert Hawthorne.
But I think they kind of sold it like that, didn't they? They sold it like it was going to become a porno. I mean, we can guarantee that Horror Hangout After Dark probably not much different to a usual, like a standard episode, right?
Fairly liberal with the swearing and stuff anyway, aren't we? So it's not.
Well, the bit of blue for the dads. Bloody hell. Sometimes I have to put the warning on. I forget to put the warning on. Like a little kid might listen, a little impressionable kid. I might hear one of us say fuck or bugger.
Me the effing and blooming jeffing all along.
Yeah, I know. Effing and jeffing. Stop swearing. You're fresh off the back of a big old cycle just this past weekend, which obviously we mentioned the last couple of episodes. All went well. You're looking fresh.
Yeah, feeling all right, Not doing too badly at all. It was lovely.
Really successful, good. Raised a lot of money.
Really good race. Raised a little bit of money for the people at Social Bike to help really break a cycle of homelessness. Providing homes and food for people. Thanks to anyone who has sponsored us. We'll throw the link if the links are still open if anyone does want to sponsor.
Yeah. So people can still donate, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you were feeling a little bit doubting, saying I don't want to sponsor just yet, because what if the bugger didn't do it? Done it now.
Yeah.
I've successfully done it. So you're rewarding work that's already been done, not the promise of actions to come. And it was great, and it's a worthwhile cause and a lot of fun. Nice bike ride with friends. Had a little biscuit at the end.
And where was the finish line?
So it was Murrayfield Stadium in Edinburgh, so the big rugby stadium.
Yeah.
And it was, tell you what, you don't have to feel like a champion. You've done all that riding around the roads and everything, and up some. Don't know if you know this about Scotland, Ben. Pretty hilly. You've done some riding on the hills and everything, and then you ride into the stadium through like this big arch onto like the fields. Like there's the seats. The stadium's not full. It's not like there's a roaring crowd, but there are people there to cheer you and greet you in there. And it was lovely, a really, really good event. So I had a great time.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And what kind of biscuit did you have at the end?
Now it depends where you live in Scotland. I call them double biscuits. They're also called Empire biscuits. They're also called fancy pieces in different areas of Scotland.
I don't know any of those. I don't know the names of any of those.
Two shortbread biscuits.
Two shortbread
biscuits with jam in the middle, like it's a jammy dodger, iced on the top, and then just a little pièce de résistance, little jelly tot on the top of it as well.
What? I've never heard of this. Is this a
do a Google, people at home. Do a Google for Empire biscuits. You'll find them. Yum, yum. Ever so nice.
Yum. Satisfying. A worthy reward
for a good time.
How many miles again?
It's advertised as 60, but I think they had to start for shape. They moved the start line. So according to my watch, 65 miles.
I thought you were going to say they moved the start line. So in the end, 12 miles.
No, more. Moved it the harder direction, 65 miles.
Oh dear. Well, you made it. You're a true hero. I'm not trying to patronize you. But well done.
Thank you.
And worthy calls. Yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes again. We've done it the last couple of episodes, but if you put the link in the show notes again, you can still donate if you're feeling generous.
If you think homelessness is absolute bullshit, then put some money and help people stop it happening.
Yeah. Good stuff.
But moving from real life horror spin, what's in the other horrific news this week? It's only been behind the curtain again, a few days since the end of our bumper recording of Fright Fest content. So has there been any news that's crept our way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So obviously, we put our Fright Fest episode out the other. I think we'll still um do some, as I said, there might still be some extra bits of content. Maybe we'll put something out where we sort of discuss, um, maybe on the socials we talk about what our picks were, just in case anyone didn't listen to that bumper episode, because 3 and nearly 4 hours can put some people off. Cowards, we call those people.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it might
yeah,
not be the first episode of the podcast.
that they got, and some of the really positive words we've heard as well. So, and kind words from some of the filmmakers who we obviously linked our episode to, and they were talking to us on Twitter and Facebook, thankful for us talking about their movie. Yeah, and hopefully there's more of that to come. It's a bloody pleasure.
The the distributors, the marketing teams that work on that, putting on a horror event like this is a huge thing. So thanks to anyone that's engaged with us and helped us watch it from afar. Like, really appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun, and obviously good to chat with Lucy again about everything Fright Fest. She had I don't know if you saw, but she had the pass as well. She showed it off.
I haven't seen the video, but I have listened to the
Okay.
audio because it was a missing part of my memory, especially as you cut so seamlessly to Lucy. It would have felt strange in my mind.
The cat.
It would have felt
Yeah.
strange in my mind to have been part of that conversation, but not recalled what Lucy
Yeah.
said back. So I listened to it the other day.
I tried my best to make it look like we're all in the same room,
Feels like it.
But then you were just incredibly quiet for like an hour or so.
It's like Luke for these last few weeks, I guess. He'll probably speak up in a little bit, but
Yeah, he's listening. He's here in person. Sorry, in spirit, not in person. That would be so.
he's just
In
stuck
terms
on
of
mute.
horror news, there have been a couple of things. So we didn't talk about the Pinhead photo reveal,
We
did we?
didn't talk about the pinhead photo.
No. So there was one photo and a few others. There was one photo of Pinhead from the new Hellraiser movie, but there was also a couple of others from the movie. But then also today, another photo of Jamie Clayton playing the role of Pinhead. This time, instead of looking like directly at the camera, she's looking up and to her right at something. Who knows what it could be up there? A balloon,
Giraffe.
a giraffe. Yeah, yeah. Because I reckon it looks about. Yeah, I reckon you'd be looking up at a giraffe from there. What's that giraffe doing? Exactly. So obviously we've only had images. We haven't had a trailer yet. I'm assuming we'll get a trailer at some point soon because October the 7th is when it's released on Hulu. So yeah, I don't know where else that's going to go. I think Prey was on Hulu and that ended up going on Disney Plus
Disney
in the
Plus.
UK. So
We'll
don't
see
know.
we'll see how it comes out of here. But we must
Hellraiser on Disney Plus. Interesting.
hopefully they won't do that awful thing where it in this day and age, Ben, true horrors when something comes out in one territory ages before others. So weird.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope it just comes out pretty much day and date, hopefully, so we can get and enjoy it.
Yeah, but still looks interesting. It looks like they've gone for, of course, the pins in the head are still there, but other than that, like the design looks very original, unique. There's a lot of it looks almost like the sort of scarification, bits of exposed flesh and creepy stuff. It almost looks a bit. This sounds a bit silly, but there was another character called. There was another like Cenobite that was shown in another image and kind of looks like the skin of a face like stretched across some sort of like skull shaped frame. I don't know. They kind of look. It looks very iRobot-y. And now I've said that, I can't stop looking at this picture of Pinhead and thinking that's just bloody iRobot. That is. Will Smith's gonna wander into the screen any minute.
iRobot
The
Pinhead.
puzzle box.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. The only thing I've seen apart from those pictures, there's the really short teaser that looks like that some people have been dubbing the Law and Order music over the top of, right? Because has the font.
Yeah. Law and Order.
Hellraiser edition.
Hellraised.
I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, the last we did what? Well, I'm not sure if you did actually, but the last Clive Barker adaptation, I watched Books of Blood, which was I want to say pretty naff. I remember not enjoying it, but I don't remember anything about it. You know,
I
when you
think it
can't
was
even
before I was
picture.
with you guys every week, but I think I remember, didn't it kind of pour a bit of cold water on Luke's prediction of a Clive
Clive Barker
Barker
resurgence, yeah,
resurgence?
which he's been.
This might be back.
This might be the one, yeah. He's so ahead of the curve, Luke Condon, that he's predicting resurgences even before they officially get going. So he predicted the resurgence, but even a failure is included within
Yeah,
that. He's that
knew.
good.
He knew the circular nature of it all. It was going to be back.
He's that damn good. So yeah, apart from that, got some other new. I don't know if we spoke about this because this was actually revealed a couple of weeks ago. Is this Killer Clowns from Outer Space the game?
Oh no, you
Trailer
didn't
for that?
mention this. Tell me all about it.
Well, it was revealed during, I can't remember what it was. It was revealed during like a sort of promotional thing for games fairly recently. I don't know if it's something to do with the Game Awards, possibly. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. But yeah, it looks pretty interesting. Again, does it look like, because it's because it's a horror franchise being made into a game, are we literally just looking at 4 versus 1
Oh, no more of
multiplayer
that.
scenario? I think the thing is, it's doing well. People seem to enjoy it. Dead by Daylight is obviously huge. That might be why they keep leaning into that. And I see that Evil Dead is still adding characters to the game, like as we speak. Like the characters from the 2013 Evil Dead movie and Ash vs Evil Dead are being added now as well. So clearly it's popular. So, but yeah, the directors have been talking about it as well.
It wouldn't be hard
Um,
to satisfy me with that type of thing, though. All I would need is bot matches so I can properly play offline, which they tend to patch into this type of thing forever later. I want bot matches and just give me a little picture and a screen of text when I finish that character's in inverted commas story,
yeah.
like games of old. I'd happily just grind through lots of like bot matches and that. It's just playing with other people on the internet that I can't stand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's the Chiodo brothers who I think are helming this game, and they said they hope it's going to be a reawakening of the franchise. Maybe it satisfy people's yearning for more killer clowns from outer space. You know, more because of new licenses and merchandising going on. You know, whether that means potentially there could be a new
If it's you're predicting
movie.
a Killer Clowns resurgence.
Again, it seems like a film that's got a very loyal sort of fan base, and it's got quite a cult following as well. We've obviously never covered it on this podcast, so it's definitely.
It's had some requests. Friend of the show, Danny Taylor, my old friend of many years, has asked
Oh,
if we
yeah.
can do it sometime. Um,
I think it's on the official list of
it's on the
films
list.
to
We just haven't
cover.
scheduled it in. We just maybe this would be the perfect time to think of a time for it to go in there.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, we could. I'm sure we could squeeze it in towards the end of the year.
Yeah. See how this game's
Can you
coming
believe
along.
Can you believe it's September now? How does that make you feel?
Oh, downhill to like horror Christmas and then actual Christmas, I guess, from here.
Horror Christmas, followed by actual Christmas.
Horror Christmas, then Guy Fawkes Christmas,
Hmm.
then American Turkey Christmas,
Oh yeah. Forget
then
about that one.
and then um and then Christmas,
I
Jesus
forget about
Christmas.
American Turkey Christmas every time. Every time it says it's American Turkey Christmas, I go, "Oh yeah, that's a thing." Every year gets me.
I mean, for over here where we're not thankful for things, then I guess it's stores that are saying have a Black Friday deal.
Yeah,
That'll be
that's basically the same, isn't it? Are you thankful? I'm pretty thankful. Well, if you're that thankful, why don't you buy this massive TV that you don't need for a price which is really only 5% cheaper than it was 2 weeks ago?
I'll tell them about it. Cost of living these days now, though, Ben. That's real life horrors. We won't touch on that. It'll be here all night. Have
We'll
you?
be here all night. Have to be a whole new section of the show.
It's yeah, real life, real life horrors, existential dread hour. Um, anything else in the news? I saw
Uh,
a little bit of Dead Space is announcing its platforms. It's coming. It's
oh
creeping
yeah, I
ever
did see that.
closer.
Next year, January.
Yeah, it's not too far, but basically the consoles you would expect it to be on. I mean,
Yeah, there's no massive
the new ones.
surprises. They've not pulled out Dreamcast release or anything like
No,
that.
it's not coming out on the Game Boy Color, I'm afraid. But
Devastated. The
all
only
you
other
need
piece of
bits.
news I've got is about a movie called Troll being released on Netflix. There is a trailer and it's going to debut on the 1st of December. It's a Norwegian monster movie. Of course it is. From, oh, what a great name. Roar Utag. Apparently involved somehow in Tomb Raider. I don't know if you're the director of the last Tomb Raider movie. When an ancient troll is awakened in a Norwegian mountain, a ragtag group of heroes must come together to try and stop it from wreaking deadly havoc. Don't wreak deadly havoc, for God's sake.
Those heroes better come together and stop it then, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And we've got a pretty interesting looking poster. It's some climbers climbing up what looks like a craggy old rock face. You never guess what?
It's a bloody troll, isn't it?
It's a troll's face.
Not a rock face, a troll rock face.
You squint your eyes, it kind of looks a bit like Willem Dafoe.
Okay.
Maybe not actually.
Troll.
Sorry, Willem Dafoe. That's really mean. Well, I'm kind of just trolls, goblins. They're all the same. I shouldn't say that. That's incredibly rude.
That's profiling. Yeah,
that's profiling. Yeah, that's not fair. That's not on. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for news. I know it's really only been a few days since we chatted Fright Fest, but have you seen anything significant?
I've seen a couple of things, Ben. I have one thing I've got coming up very soon. I guess it's a transition to news to what I'll soon be watching. The good folks over at DCA in Dundee have extended a kind invite. They're doing some screenings of sort of Gen Z horror that's coming up for release very soon. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yeah.
I am going to be joining them to see it end of next week. Get my eyes around that. I think John Crinnan, patron against his will, is going to come and join me for a little bit of a cinema trip.
Patron against his will, occasional co-host, friend of the show, and all-round lovely man.
Right, horror dude. Yeah, we're going to go and see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies together. Give you a little bit of bonus content and tell you all about that. But we'll have another episode between now and then because it's end of next week.
Oh, okay.
But as we're talking
bonus content as well.
As we're talking about this in advance, though, they're selling screenings now. If you are a horror fan who is Scotland adjacent, anywhere near Dundee, screenings available now for that. I think it's a fairly limited release, so get yourself some tickets.
It is a limited release. I was checking when it was coming out, and I can't seem to see any local screenings. I'm gonna have to get myself out to Dundee, aren't I?
Yeah, if you're in and around Dundee, whether you're Ben or anyone else listening, come and see me. If you're at the same screening as me, come and say hello.
Book the seat between Andy and John,
if you could.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be chatting on. We got catching up to do. Other than that, though, I watched Beyond the Gates. It is a fairly independent horror movie. It was one that was recommended to us by former guest Emily Booth when we were talking about it. I think she had. We weren't sure whether we were watching Beyond the Gates or The Gate, the film we did eventually watch,
or The Beyond. I think there are a lot of cross wires.
There's a lot of cross wires there, but Beyond the Gates, a combination of both of those titles, leans into a great horror vehicle. In the sense that it's about one of those video board games like Atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
So it's about a couple of brothers whose relationship is a little distant. After the death of their dad, they go to clear out his shop and the video shop that he used to run and their property as they liquidate the assets. And they find this game, Beyond the Gates, and horror ensues. Barbara Crampton is in it as like the the Atmosphere host of the video. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay, that does sound good. I think I was quite keen to see that, and I didn't know much about it other than the poster. But even from that, it was intriguing. So yeah.
I've also seen a 1979 horror film called Prophecy. It has subjects of the environment in there. It's about an environmental investigating officer that looks to investigate the impact of a piece of woodland on a paper mill that's nearby and reports of it damaging the woodland. And I tell you what, things aren't all right in there. Then I don't want to spoil it. And I was watching it feeling, okay, it's a film of its age. There is an off-screen animal that's making attacks of some kind, fairly brutal. And then I sent you a clip of it earlier.
Yeah.
There is one scene in this movie where I sat up and gasped, a hand to my mouth, in a kill that is as out of nowhere and incredible as things like the basketball kill from Deadly Friend, from Welcome to Primetime Bitch, a kill of that magnitude in
Wow.
1979's Prophecy. If you're finding it hard to seek out and see in its entirety, I would invite anyone to have a look on the platform that is YouTube and just do a search for Prophecy Sleeping Bag Kill. They will
There's a
be,
sleeping bag kill in Friday the 13th, isn't there?
I think this sleeping bag kill even rivals that
Oh,
one.
okay. What?
Yeah, look at that sleeping bag kill video. It is 45 seconds of your life that you'll be absolutely glad that you spent on it.
I need to. You sent me the link, and it was one of those where I was like, "Yeah, look at that in a minute."
I'll tell you what,
I
Ben.
still haven't.
I can fill for you while I talk about deaths. While I talk about my last thing, while you watch it, if you want, grab your phone. You're allowed to use your phone while I'm doing this. I will, in the short term, while Ben is looking at that, and we'll get his live reaction shortly. The other thing I've been playing, not watching, but playing with my hands and my eyes because it's a interactive medium,
There they are.
is Death's Door. So
Okay.
yeah, I know Luke had already played
Luke's
this,
played
finished
that.
it.
Yeah.
It's got like a nice bit of kind of a classic Legend of Zelda feel. So you're getting new abilities that allow you to explore and unlock other areas. You are a cute little crow going around. It's got almost a Ghibli feel to some of it as well in some of the character design. Going around and working as a little Grim Reaper, reaping the souls of these large creatures that have refused to give up on their lives and go into the peace of death. So you go and do that work for them to collect their souls. It's a really fun little game, very sweetly made by a fairly small independent team, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm just in the post game now. I can see Ben, your reaction. You've finished the.
I mean, I was listening to you and watching it at the same
Yeah.
time. I didn't want to be rude. What even happened?
There's a big horrible monster, isn't it? And then
But what happened? Did someone just get flung towards a rock and then
the kid just
obliterated?
gets obliterated, game over in
What
his
is the
sleeping bag.
monster? Sorry, I don't want to spoil this movie for anybody,
Um,
but
okay, like spoiler warning for Prophecy. It's a big horrible bear that's been mutated, Resident Evil style, by horrid chemicals. Um,
and
yeah,
it's got like hell of a right hook, I guess, because it's just obliterated a man in a sleeping bag. Why do you try and get away by just hopping along?
he hops along like a little banana in there, and then he's absolutely
Is it like
pulverized by this bear.
a good monster movie? Good creature
Um,
effects, then would you say?
it's I wouldn't say it's got very good creature effect. It's kind of Godzilla man in suit level when you see it close up.
Yeah.
Um, but it gets surprisingly brutal as it all escalates towards the end with a big horrible bear and messages of environmentalism, which we should take seriously in this world of a fragile environment and
Yeah.
sustainability being more important than ever.
What's going to get you more interested in environmental issues than a big mutated grizzly bear? I'm just looking at. I mean, it looks pretty good, you know. I mean, it's just screenshots, but I'm thinking it looks. The
Oh,
thing
it's horrible.
is
Yeah,
not good as the. You know what I mean?
it's a horrible bear, and there's
Oh,
lots of comments about there on how it affects the wider food chain as well. So it's not just about the bear; it's the
she
horror that lies
lives.
within.
Don't move. Don't breathe. There's nowhere to run. She will find you. Lady bear, is it?
Yeah, it's a lady bear, and there's little baby bears that have been mutated as
How did
well.
you
That are
find out about
horrible.
this film?
It was just on a list from a long time ago. Like whenever I encounter something, I see a review of something, I see a little clip of something on a top 10 horror movies, I'll make a note of it.
Yeah,
Prophecy was one of those.
I'm getting on the watch list. I like a monster movie.
Yeah,
And
check out,
I like a
check out
sleeping
Prophecy.
bag based kill, and it definitely does rival.
I literally gasped when I saw that. It comes
You're
from
like my
nowhere.
sleeping bag. That's my favorite sleeping bag.
But yeah, that's all I've been watching and doing. Ben, have you watched anything else?
I mean, I've not really watched anything else. I kind of had a pretty busy weekend. I watched some WWE wrestling
Of
live
course, you've been to the wrestling
in
live.
Cardiff. Yeah, that was good fun. Enjoyed that. Enjoyed myself. It's a weird thing, you know, seeing it. We had a pretty good view, but you know, seeing wrestlers that I've never seen before in the flesh, who I kind of like grew up watching, like Edge and Rey Mysterio, was a bizarre experience. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. Um, it's still very entertaining, even though I don't watch it as much as I used to. Still a good time.
Did you
But
find that is it like a soap opera and you're a little bit out of the loop with the story, so you just have
yeah,
to
it's
come
like
up with
that. Yeah,
you have to
I'm like, who's this? Who's this new character? Nah, they can't be
generic
good.
chants because you don't know the current ones, so you're just like wrestling.
Wrestling. Well, there were a lot of people that kind of I'd already known, so I had definitely had a preference of who won and stuff. But yeah, that was good fun. And then the only other thing I've watched this week is only episode 1, not episode 2 yet, of The Rings of Power, which is the Lord of the Rings Amazon Prime TV series, which cost what, like $90 billion,
Oh
something like that,
no.
750 million, I think, per episode. Is that right? Something like that.
It's an obscene amount of money per
It can't be per
episode.
episode, surely. Maybe just the whole show. I don't know.
No, I think it is like that much money per episode, which this is going to seem unfair because I was a big Lord of the Rings fan. I didn't really bother with The Hobbit because I think hubris got them and they made
Mm,
3 films when they could have done it 2 as a push.
yeah.
But um, yeah, I'm gonna watch this at some point and I'm keen to enjoy it. But actually knowing that this huge expenditure has gone into it,
Yeah.
like I'm not sure how it makes me feel going into it. Like I think
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of these things where
could have built Bloody Hospital with that money.
could have built bloody few hospitals. Well, maybe not a few. I don't know. I don't know how far money goes anymore, Andy. I'll be honest. Um, but I think once I get to know the characters a bit more, I'll probably enjoy it more. I mean, as a visual spectacle, sure, it looks great, but it still kind of has that Peter Jackson look and sheen about it, which is kind of, I don't know, because I don't think he's involved in any way. So unless they're trying to kind of like keep a visual con- continuity within it so that people can make the direct connection between Lord of the Rings
I
and,
don't know any of the characters in it. I know there is like Eminem Sauron.
well, I
Um,
don't know about that, see, because I think from a trailer we thought it was going to be Eminem Sauron, but now a lot of people are saying that isn't him in the trailer, someone else.
that's like a Stan character that
Because this
loves
is kind of
Sauron.
weird
He's going to
because it's
write him
like
letters.
it's done that prequel thing again, Andy, where it's gone. This is the origin of someone. Ooh, Sauron. Years ago, there was a guy called Sauron. Oh yeah, what's his origin? He was just
Right.
knocking about.
He
All
already
right,
was. Yeah,
he's
already
already
was.
he already exists.
He's like the non-life again. And I should correct myself there. Thank you, Ben. That it is Sauron. Sauron is the pterodactyl man from the Savage Land in X Men.
Who got it wrong then? I don't know. Who
It
said it wrong?
was it was me. I called
It
him
was you,
I called him Sauron, the pterodactyl man
Sauron, and
from
I said
the
Sauron.
Savage Land. You said Sauron, which I think is correct.
Uh, well, who knows? Maybe neither of us are, and there's a
If
third
well,
pronunciation.
to be fair, if the internet's anything to go by, you've got to get these things right because those Lord of the Rings fans will come after you if it's not perfect.
They'll come after you and they'll batter you to death. Obviously, there's been some discourse about the nationalities and the skin color of various characters. I don't know how much discourse there has been because obviously you kind of see it and it's kind of blown up online, isn't it? Like there might just be a handful of people who are annoyed about it. But yeah, it is fantasy and and let's just not be silly now.
Yeah,
Um, let's not be silly. Let's remember that we are just tiny specks of consciousness on a rock that's hurtling through space.
yeah.
It's pretty mad on planet
Save,
Earth, you know.
yeah,
There's jellyfish.
save your energy to
Ever
care
properly
about
looked at a
something that's
jellyfish?
important. Like build a fucking hospital. Put your energy into
Go
that
to the
shit.
hospital. I like it. That's the point you're making. And I'm going, jellyfish
Yeah,
are mad.
build buddy hospital. Fucking suck a fuck if that bothers you. Like yeah, like it could be. Yeah, I really want to watch it. Like I really want to get into it. The only criticism I've
Sucker
heard,
fuck.
the criticism that I have heard is that maybe the first episodes are a little lore heavy. So maybe I will wait a
Yeah, there's
couple of
like a
weeks
not a
until there's
prequel,
more
prologue.
get on
There's a
it.
prologue which is quite lore heavy. There's a lot of like maps and words appearing on screens, expecting you to like remember what these places are. But like these places are outside of Middle Earth as well, so it's quite difficult to um to understand. But also, maybe it's good that they don't include characters we're familiar with because you know that representation of that character might be not to anyone's best 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 sort of pleasing. But then also the lead actress playing what's her name? Galadriel.
Adriel,
I
yeah.
always get that name wrong. Is the actress from Saint Maud? Sorry, I've not got your name in front of me. I remember it being a quite difficult to pronounce name, so I don't want to be that idiot who does that. But she was great in Saint Maud, and she seems great in it. She's got like a really, sorry, her name is Morfydd Clark.
There you go.
She's got a very steely sort of something about just like something about the way she looks. Sorry, there's something about the way she kind of like someone who can like stare through you without really doing much.
Yep.
He's got it. Ryan Gosling's got it. Uh,
Avril Lavigne has got it.
Florence Pugh. Avril Lavigne's definitely got it, but we all know she's a clone of the original Avril Lavigne anyway, and replaced the original Avril Lavigne. We know that, right? We're all on board with that.
I've not heard that one.
No, that one. Is she a clone, or I think she's just a replacement? Anyway, we're definitely living in a Matrix simulation. I had the ultimate. I was queuing to get a drink somewhere the other day, and there was one woman serving the queue next to me and one woman serving me, and they were identical. I'm not talking identical twins here, right? I'm not talking identical twins. I had a moment where I had an out of body experience. So I was looking at these two ladies. I mean, they were twins, but they had the same glasses, the same hair tied back exactly the same, and even their collar seemed to be like sort of twisted and folded in exactly the same direction. I was like, that's a copy and paste scenario.
All Avril Lavigne clones.
There is no way that they are just twins who have happened to be working the same shift for the same company and end up on the till next to each other. I'm not buying it. Someone's getting sacked for that. Someone in the Matrix.
What's his
Universe
job?
building.
From
The architect.
oh, what's his name? Oh, the actor.
Hugo Weaving.
No, the new one.
The new
Neil
one.
Patrick Harris. Neil
Oh, that
Patrick
guy.
Harris is in
Oh,
ever so
yeah.
much trouble for
I
messing
don't
it up.
remember that guy's name.
Oh well, but apart from that,
Apart from that,
watching The Signs.
that's it. Yeah. So, The Signs, or just Signs, if you're feeling special. I did watch this a few weeks ago because the reason we decided to watch this movie this month is because it recently celebrated 20-year anniversary. And I put a couple of things out on socials, just a couple of like certain moments from this film where I was like, I've never been the same since this moment. And so many people, like, sometimes some people interact with me online, get a few little interactions. This was unbelievable. People going crazy for Signs. People are loving Signs.
They're saying yes, Ben.
Yes, you're
my
correct.
experience
It's
too.
terrifying, and I also love this bit and this bit and this bit, and this is why this film's great. And I think in terms of in terms of like the overall scope of M. Night Shyamalan's career, is often overlooked. People talk about Sixth Sense, people talk about Unbreakable, and then Signs is kind of, I think it gets left behind a bit because as a film, it's like some people don't quite consider it a horror. People consider it like a sort of science fiction based drama or something like that. But I'm definitely more scared by all the moments in this film than I am in Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I think this is a scarier movie with more threat. And I know that isn't how you define horror necessarily, but I think this is quite an incredibly tense, sometimes quite frightening film. Whereas in Sixth Sense, the ghosts just want you to do some admin for him, really.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
if you're scared of vomit, there's like a
little,
vomiting ghost, I
yeah, little
remember.
boy under the table going, "Oh, my mom's poisoning me." Yeah, no, thanks.
All right, get over it, will you? You're dead already. Get over it. She's been putting a tiny bit of poison in your soup every day for the last 6 months.
Heavy metal poisoning. That'll get you. But apart from that, yeah, I think when you look at M. Night Shyamalan's like entire movie career, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sure, he's doing fine. I think he's probably fabulously wealthy, is a well-respected film creator. So he doesn't need me.
He's already got a new movie on the way out, isn't he?
He doesn't need me to help him out and say, like, leave him alone, will you? I think he took a bit of flack for a period in his career because his first few movies were like, his first few
so good.
widely released movies were so influential, so so well received, such talking points
Mm.
for the general zeitgeist at the time, that when he went on to deliver, to an extent, The Village, to a greater extent, Lady in the Water, and then, finally, his big shot at a Hollywood blockbuster when he did the Last Airbender,
Oh yeah.
like, fell into criticism when they weren't as impactful as just those first few movies that he released. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this for me is perhaps one of his best movies. No perhaps about it. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, I think I've always sort of had such a love for this film. For so many reasons, I think. Uh so I watched it recently with my daughter just to see her face during a few choice scenes, just because they affected me so much. And I think when you do that, when you watch a film with someone, you're like, I can't wait to see how they react to that.
You're looking
It's
at the
never
little face as they
it's
go
never
along.
it's never like what you expect, is it? So but she enjoyed it, and but I've always like felt this connection to this film where it's like it's more than just a alien invasion movie. Essentially, like it's very single location. It's very like it's a small cast. I know we've got supporting players in it as well, but there's like mainly four people that you spend a hell of a lot of time with. But there's so much that it seems to cover. It covers like grief, like the nature of faith, conflicting ideas surrounding like coincidence,
Yeah,
fate.
those ideology pieces, I really enjoyed those moments. And this is when you get an M Night movie, if I may call him by his first name, at its best, when you get bits like the payoff of the signs, when everything comes together and all those little pieces will come into it as we go through the plot,
Yeah.
when they hit just right, and every little piece of this movie has been designed to hit this one point where it's all going to drop into place and it's all going to make sense. Just that moment when I guess the minute or so that follows the bit from when he finally realizes about his wife's words, and he gives his brother that advice, to the glasses of water, to everything
Oh
in
man.
that house, the position of objects, the actions of characters, they all fall together to be
I
perfect in
genuinely
that
think
moment.
it
No
might
payoff
be
like it.
it might be one of the best. And some people might say don't talk utter shite. But I think it's in terms of like cinema and in terms of like a thriller slash horror film that's got so many sort of thematic elements, these all of these moving parts constantly. And sometimes they're delivered with monologues that maybe feel I've seen some criticism aimed at this film, which is like the dialogue's a bit like no one speaks like actual human beings in this. But I think I mentioned it before, like there's something about M. Night Shyamalan's dialogue that feels a bit otherworldly, and like these characters feel like they're I don't know in a play or something,
Yeah.
rather than like in a movie, like the way they speak, like every word has weight and every
Yeah.
word means something, and
For
when the film progresses those words
yeah,
like
they have a meaning. Like I couldn't agree with you more in that sentiment, that it does feel like they're performing a play. These are guys that have defined lines. It's the work of a storyteller. These are storied characters, and it doesn't take anything away from me to know that things that also like a bit of gravitas and a bit of speech, real world recording here. Like, imagine some of the speeches and some of the dialogues and the impact and the emotion that comes from some of the deliveries in this film from a number of characters.
hmm.
We live in the real world where our prime minister like did a final speech and left his office as of as of earlier today. um and Absolute shite. Took a minute to thank his dog, do a shit joke.
by my dog. I like to find a Weetabix I had for breakfast this morning.
Like, to be fair,
He should
if
have done
the
any of Mel Gibson's. You know,
yeah
Boris Johnson and Mel Gibson probably cut from the same cloth. But if he did any of Mel Gibson's monologues from this, as I would have given him one solitary clap.
yeah, but yeah, just to consider that if what you want and what you expect from realism in your dialogue is for it to be a bit shit and like you've just phoned it in at the last second, then maybe the problem isn't with the writing of our fiction. It's the actual speeches and actual language
Yeah,
should try just a little bit harder not to be shit.
actual human
And
beings
actually,
should try and write.
maybe actual human beings should take another run at the things they're gonna say
I'm going
and
to do
do
a speech at least once a week, right? I don't care who's listening. Just in my household, I'll say, right, everybody sit down. All right, okay, I got something to say.
and say the
Yeah.
thing about tea is that every leaf in this cup has traveled around the world and been blended for this very moment to give you the
Oh, you should.
taste of this tea, the energy that you need.
I feel like you should get a job doing adverts for Marks and Spencers.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe I should do. Maybe that's that. I could do a tea advert though, unlike the
Yeah.
apes that you say. I ain't gonna rip your face off.
I just think.
Fucking
I
Jeff
just
Tips
think.
in here.
I just think with this film as well. Like, I don't know. I've seen it maybe maybe nearly 10 times, possibly in 20 years. Maybe less than that, but it feels like I've seen it a lot. It still gives me goosebumps. Like
Yeah,
that realization of certain moments still gives me goosebumps. And in terms of a soundtrack as well, like a score, James Newton Howard, especially that opening opening theme,
yeah.
is amazing.
Got your
It's
strings in
like
there as well. Nice to give John Williams a rest.
give John Williams a little rest. And yeah, I mean, it's iconic. And again, it's kind of a bit annoying that when we talk about like the most iconic movies themes, not necessarily just horror, but this doesn't get mentioned enough. I think it's amazing.
It's a
And
really, really good soundtrack, and they bring the soundtrack in at all of the right moments. I'll give you one more aside then before we get into the proper intro and do some of the plot and talk about the people in it. But you talked about those key moments. I have an ongoing memory of not even watching this film. I wasn't even watching the film myself directly at the time. I was at my friend's house. We were going out to hang out for an evening. We were playing some video games. He was in the flat that he rented with his girlfriend at the time. We were playing some video games and having a bit of a catch up. She was watching TV in the other room and was watching The Signs. She'd never seen The Signs before. We were both big fans.
I
You
saw the
recommended
sign.
go and watch Signs. So she was sitting there watching there. We were in and out having a chat between rounds of the game, popping her head in, seeing how she's getting in. Just a casual evening. And my friend had kept a track on where the film was going along, and it got to that key scene when Meryl is watching the children, and we see that look of the alien come across the room. And as we see, as what his girlfriend described as the stretchy green man walk across that screen at the same time, my friend picked that moment to run into the room and I go, whoa! And
Oh
there were
god.
screams that erupted
Stretchy
from
green
that
man. Out of
room.
the way, children.
Yeah,
Vamonos.
Vamonos. And then the stretchy green man steps across, and I will remember her reaction. It was like that perfect, like the tunnel between reality, because you have the people in the scene of that are filming it, and then that has been captured and it is being shown on TV to Joaquin Phoenix reacting to it on screen, coming one step further back, the sixth wall by this point, and it is then
Yeah.
her watching this movie, watching someone react to something that he is seeing on television,
It's like
all of
YouTube.
them being afraid. Yeah,
There are
before
so many moments. I mean,
maybe we invented Gogglebox, who knows?
that is the moment, obviously. But alien on the house, little leg in the cornfield, hand coming under the pantry door, um, and then the whole finale as well. Like moments that we don't see. Even 20 years later, people might look at this and say, "That alien don't even look right." Don't even look real.
It's not aliens look
Aliens
like.
aren't real.
We
That's
know
what I'll
what they're
tell
like
you.
now.
I'll say aliens aren't real.
They're
So
interdimensional beings, not space
how do we know
aliens.
that they don't look like they're made of CGI? All right. Uh, all of that is just this film that it just feeds you these tiny little crumbs all throughout the film, and you expect, like, I don't know what you expect from seeing the poster. You might think, oh, there's going to be a scene where we see a spaceship fly down and laser beams and maybe a tank's firing at it or something like that. It is just such a like, what word am I searching for here? Such a like personable sort of experience of an alien invasion um at such a right at ground level as
Yeah,
well.
it's a
That
very kind of intimate encounter
that's the word I was thinking
in
of.
a world where this is happening all over the world, but you don't have Tom Cruise running about and punching on. You don't have Will Smith getting in
Punching
his.
on.
You don't have Will Smith getting in his little captured alien spaceship with Jeff Goldblum and flying up to the mothership, which is compatible with Windows
Welcome to
95.
Earth.
Yeah, he punches on as well. He
Yeah,
goes thumping aliens, then uploading Windows 95 viruses to blow them all up in space.
on a floppy
Like,
disk. I don't know,
yeah,
is it?
no, I think they just use a modem connection, just wire it in.
Just wire it in, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
It'll
yeah,
be fine.
yeah.
Alien, it'll blow up all the spaceships. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's called USB because it's a universal. So
Of
got to,
course. There we
yeah.
go. That's the main thing.
So whack the USB and you get that done. But yeah, we see this really intimate experience of this single family.
Mm.
Um, in a more franchise-heavy world, you could easily have seen um the events of other people around the world. But
Signs two.
yeah,
More signs. I just think in the hands of like a different director, and now of course it's M Night Shyamalan's movie because he's written it as well, so it's not just like a studio have assigned him as director, but in the hands of a different director, one of the characters is given with a baseball bat and he smashes up some aliens, right? Easy as that. You don't have to hear anything else. But in this movie, we get such a story about like why he's good with a baseball bat, how his life has changed, that he's no longer a baseball player, and this sort of connection between obviously Graham Hess's wife, watching him swing, and just all of that stuff. Just every as you said, everything descends, everything just falls so well into place.
yeah. There is not a single prop, moment, word, look in this film that isn't entirely intentional.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, okay.
Yeah,
I
so
will
well put together.
I will just introduce the movie then, even though we've discussed it for a little while now. But Signs is a 2002 American science fiction horror film written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So it stars. So no wait, it focuses on a former priest named Graham Hess, played by Mel Gibson, who discovers a series of crop circles in his cornfield and thinks that the phenomenon is a result of extraterrestrial life. Also stars Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin, Abigail Breslin. Um, yeah, so we've got some choice reviews here. So, oh wait, so first a 6.8 on IMDb, 3.4 on Letterboxd, 75% critic score, 67% audience score. Naughty Julie Norwood. Can't confirm or deny if she's naughty or not. She says, so she gives it 5 stars. Deliciously dark and foreboding, enough tension to choke a horse. The build-up was slow but gaining traction, methodical and terrifyingly relentless. David Sims, slightly different, 3 stars. Peak Shyamalan. This film is well acted and touching and lovely. There's not one line of dialogue that feels remotely natural. The ending is goofy as shit. I think that was the review that I'd read before about the dialogue being a bit dodge. And then that was David Sims. Don't know if I said that. Jack gave it 3.5 stars. The feeling when you're waiting for the famous Shyamalan twist and the smartass decides to not include a twist because that in itself is a twist. I aspire to be as legendary as him one day. Played me like a deck of cards. I feel violated.
Like a deck of cards.
Absolutely played me like a deck of cards. Look at that. He shuffled you. He shuffled you right up. I mean, I agree with pretty much all of that. The dialogue comment, I know we've already mentioned it, but I get it. And I think I've even said that maybe in the review that me and Luke did of the movie Old. I say me and Luke. I don't think you were there for that, were you?
No, I wasn't there. I haven't discussed the beach that makes you get old.
Yeah, that bloody old beach. Um, yeah. So I think I maybe said something similar then, that the uh dialogue is a bit dodgy in that, but like, it's not dodgy like where you're like, this is terrible. It's just weird. It just feels odd. It just feels not quite right. But it almost feels like you're witnessing this play, or you're witnessing this weird otherworldly event play out in front of you. And I like it. I think in terms of cinematically, I think it really works, because there's like, it's weird. It's weird to describe it like this, because I do not feel like this in some other ways, but it feels like there's a wall, or like a clear wall, like a piece of perspex between you and the characters, and you're kind of just you're just peering in and watching the things that are happening. So you feel like you're right there,
Mhm.
but there's still this barrier between you and the characters.
You feel like this
If any of that makes sense.
separation, like I think you nailed it earlier when you said it's like you're watching a play, you're watching a performance
Hmm.
of this role. But yeah, it doesn't take me out of it really. I got a lot of
No.
time for it. But yeah, what do you think of the cast here? All star, right? Pretty well.
Yeah. So the cast is Mel Gibson plays Father Graham Hess. He's a farmer and a former priest. I thought that's two quite intense things to take on in your life. I'm a farmer.
Yeah, if
Oh
you're a
yeah.
farmer,
And
probably
also a
working
priest.
6 days a week, and then guess what happens on the seventh?
Oh yeah, that's yeah, I ain't got a day off.
Got church to
Um,
do.
so obviously the key plot point here is he's a former priest, and his wife Colleen died 6 months prior.
Mhm.
So his brother Merrill lives on the farm as well. As we understand, he came and sort of like moved in after
After his
Colleen
wife,
died,
his wife
as
died.
sort of like a support network, and also looking at helping look after the kids as well. I guess he's a former minor league baseball player. Rory Culkin's Morgan Hess. He's the son. He's, how would we say, he is 8 or 9,
Um,
maybe.
yeah, maybe 10.
Yeah. And then Abigail Breslin plays Bo Hess, who's like what, five,
Yeah, little
five or
little kid,
six.
5 or 6.
She's the daughter. She's got a bit of a, I don't want to say phobia. She's got a bit of a thing about her drinking
Yeah, it
water,
describes it like I think Morgan describes it like a tick, except it's
like a tick.
not
Yeah.
really. She has a
I'm not
habit
sure if
that
that's
she.
something that happened after the death of her mum, because sometimes behavioral things like this can be uh caused by going through like trauma such as that. So maybe it is. I don't know if they mention it. And then there is a supporting cast as well. So Cherry Jones is a local police officer. M. Night Shyamalan, M. Night himself, himself.
Himself.
I don't know why I turned into Sean Connery then. M. Night himself um, is Ray Reddy, a veterinarian who, and obviously, yeah, we'll get into it, is the man responsible for Colleen's accidental death. Yeah, and we get a brief scene where all of the family go from the farm into like the town, and we meet some other interests. But again, even that's like what, 20 minutes of the movie. But I really enjoyed that sort of being introduced to all of these characters in this small town.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really nice. I've just been taking a look at the screen at some of the characters here and what they've gone on to do. I entirely neglected to realize, and I did not see the connection. But now I've seen it, I now recognize it immediately and kick myself for not getting it. Abigail Breslin is, of course, from Zombieland.
Yeah, yeah, she is. So it was
Got
Little
it?
Miss Sunshine, I think, after this, which kind of catapulted her towards fame. And I
Yes.
think she's also in the Scream TV series as well, I believe.
Oh, I don't
But yeah,
remember that. I should have remembered it. Watch
her
that
from
series.
Zombieland.
And Rory Culkin, of course, speaking of Scream, is in For Cream.
Yeah, he is in full
Screefum.
cream. Screefum. Yeah, don't want to spoil that, but yeah, he was a very significant role in that film as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's at the top of their game here, and Mel Gibson.
I think Mel Gibson, you have to kind of mention it because obviously this is an actor who was a huge star of the late 80s, early 90s in particular, right? Like a huge action character, a huge, force in directing of things like that as well.
Passionate
obviously,
Christ.
yeah, obviously a controversial character in his personal life, and it's one of those things where maybe it has reached a point where it colors how you see his performance in things. I certainly know that it might relate to some of the casting choices that are made for him today, with the controversy surrounding him and the views he's expressed, and that puts people off.
Hmm.
Um, again, this film, as far as I understand, and things are a blur. These are things in the past. I'm not sure what the status of Mel Gibson was in terms of controversy at the time this came out. But watching this back, I did pause and think, such a shame that that those things happened, and rightly so. There are consequences of doing and saying terrible things, that they have an impact on your career. But at his height in these movies,
Yeah.
personal points aside, acts the shit out of some of these points. I think he has some really compelling moments of great acting in this.
Yeah. When you mentioned director as well, Apocalypto is a absolute banger as well, isn't it? And I know, try and separate the art from the artist sometimes, but sometimes you can't. But
I think it really depends what that person has done, and not making any excuses for the people he's offended and the things he's done in his life since this movie. But like yeah, I reflected on it for a moment, thinking like it's a shame that he is widely regarded as a
still
very
starring. I think.
controversial figure, because he puts in a great performance here.
Yeah, I think he was in a movie this year, wasn't he? Like some sort of
See Santa Claus quite recently.
yeah, and there's some sort of straight to don't want to say straight to DVD. That sounds that I've seen his face on a lot of like action movie posters, um, fairly recently. Um, going a similar way as Bruce Willis, I believe. Or Bruce Willis has called it a day on his career recently.
See what
But
I
yeah,
liked with with Mel Gibson, like Ransom, where he shouts at Gary Sinise on the phone
God,
all
yeah,
those
Ransom.
times.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Gives my son. No, you gives my money. That's what Gary
Gives my
Sinise
bloody money,
replies.
mate. How dare you? Um, and obviously Joaquin Phoenix this is before he's taken on any like major roles where he's sort of been the lead in a film, I think. So obviously Gladiator was 2001, this was 2002. So I think Gladiator was the first major.
It's the first thing I was aware of him
Yeah.
in, certainly.
So this was before he became like such a sort of powerhouse leading man, but still really, really good performance. So the setup is that we kind of start with all of these characters on the farm. It's does he just wake up?
He wakes up,
Graham Hess
wakes up,
wakes up
and
to someone screaming.
he wakes up and hears screaming and things going on, and you can see he's immediately a worried
Oh, I'd be annoyed by that, wouldn't you? I
father.
go right, even if something's going on at our kids, come back to the house and quietly wake me up and tell me. Don't start screaming because I'm going to wake up all panicked that
Yeah,
something terrible has
yeah.
happened. And
If you
terrible
live
things
in,
happen in this film, but this initial instance isn't one of those.
if you're living out there on the farm, there's only one noise you want to be waking up to early in the morning. It's not screaming. Cock-a-doodle do or fuck off is what
Big
you want.
cock.
Yeah,
Cockadoodle. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about waking up to that. Obviously, if you're on a farm, it's just a given. If you've got a cock knocking about,
yeah.
if you haven't, you'd be freaked right out if that was what woke you up.
If you've got a big old cock on your farm, these big Rhode Island Reds are gonna be screaming at you every morning, crack of dawn, get yourself up.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
no,
yeah,
it's not that. It's
he pretty much just
cockadoodle,
runs out, and what is
cockadoodle
it?
don't more like it's the kids screaming. He runs out, and they finds himself in the middle of, he finds his kids. The kids say that, oh, the dogs were barking, we woke up, and then we've come out and we've seen this. What have you seen? Tilt of the head. Look at these crops,
Oh
all
yeah,
squashed.
he pushes his face, doesn't he?
Yeah, all squashed down, and then we get the one area where I feel like the film maybe shows its age, CGI aside. They've gone a long way with digital zoom on things like drone cameras, haven't they? Nowadays, don't they look a bit grainy as it sort of flies away from them.
Bloody yeah, that's a big crop circle and it's pretty massive.
Yeah,
Uh,
that drone or helicopter they used to film that from was probably like in orbit, having to zoom in loads.
yeah.
Um, and we see you see the signs.
You see the signs, yeah. A big old crop circle has
What do you
appeared in
reckon
the
it?
cornfield.
What do you reckon it'd say if you could read Alien?
It says Mel Gibson lives your, and it's got like a little arrow going towards him as
Mel
well.
Gibson here pointing a little arrow to him.
You could read Alien. And then what do you do when you get a crop circle, right? First thing you do, call the police.
I guess what else would you do?
Your grass. I don't know. I reckon if I saw that, I mean, how they're the only people living there, so they can't have like some sort of genuine corn production line going on, can they?
Some this is phone the police. Oi, sheriff, need to report some fucker's been squashing me corn.
The little corn kid would be fuming, wouldn't he?
Yeah, these someone, possibly aliens, have been crushing me cobs right here.
They've been crushing me cobs. Is that a euphemism, Mel Gibson?
Yeah,
The cob has been absolutely crushed to dust. Loads of them have.
this is when he's there. Is you know what really crushes my cobs? People killing my wife in a freak accident.
People killing my wife, but not quite enough. But basically, splitting my wife in half, but just pinning her together just so I can hear her final words.
Really
That crushes my cobs.
That crushes my cobs. And also now, I guess this point's in there. He asks when the sheriff comes to see him, tells him about all sorts of things like the old lady who's twisted her ankle because the skateboard kids have been making her dive for her life, so she starts
Spitting on all the
but he
skateboards.
flobbing on newspapers down at the corner shop.
And it goes, she must have had a cold because, oh,
She's
that's not
there,
pleasant.
gozzing on them all.
Guzzled
And
on the skateboards. Tony Hawk
Hey.
could be turning. Tony Hawk's not dead. Obviously, Tony Hawk could be turning in his grave. What am I on about? I got to stop using that because I keep using that turn of phrase as a way to describe anyone who's remotely annoyed about something, dead or not.
grave.
I'd be turning in my grave if that happened to me. What?
Well, you've got a new one now, Ben. Now it's that noise. It can be crushing your cobs.
My cobs are absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this old lady's cobs have been all crushed because of thingy. So she's there gobbing on the newspapers and
Is she gobbing on the newspapers or the skateboards? I thought she was gobbing on the
oh
skateboards.
yeah, it might have been the skateboards or possibly everything.
I've had a guts for these skateboards. I'm sick of them. Old people really do hate skateboarding, don't they? Didn't
Yeah.
someone like in America pull a gun on like a kid skateboarding like in the last couple of weeks?
Possibly. I haven't seen that story, but it wouldn't.
You go,
Yeah.
get out of here. Oh yeah, you're gonna murder a kid who's just trying to do some sick grinds.
She doesn't go. She doesn't go that far. She just goes
No.
and gobs on the stuff in the shop, which
Worse.
remember, like it was a different time. 2002, you could go gob on stuff all you wanted.
You could. No one was gonna go use that hand wash before
Yeah.
you leave.
2022, you got to watch out because gobbing on things is not the friendly banter it once
Probably
was.
a hate crime, isn't it? Gobbing on. It does spitting count as assault these days?
I guess if it's spit full of COVID, probably.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you saw that, didn't you? Like during
Yeah.
lockdowns and stuff, people be using public transport and
In
excuse me, can you
general,
wear a mask? And they go,
yeah.
you fuck off.
In general, it's like that spitting is the
Oh, it's the worst.
it's the first offense of people who aren't comfortable doing a headbutt.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a spit hood?
No.
You've not? It's what police use to like. So if there's like a certain offender they're trying to apprehend, who like is partial to a gauze.
So if they're arresting a camel or a llama, alpaca, criminal
This
alpacas,
alpaca has been shoplifting from the local co-op.
spit odds on lads.
Spit hood. Yeah, I don't know what like the rules are regarding it, but can put a spit hood on someone if you're worried, or maybe they've already spat at you and you don't want any more of it. Get the spit hood on them.
If you're arresting Pob, make sure he doesn't gobble over you.
He seems like the type.
Oh, he does. He blows on that screen and writes his name on it every time. Um,
To be fair
yeah,
though, on this at this part, we get even now we get a lot of nice character moments with the way Graham interacts with the police officer, the way the police officer interacts with Merrill, sort of like questioning him about sort of various things, like what's he been up to? What have you
oh,
do
and
with
it
your time?
says like, oh, it's nice for you to come and spend
That's
some
right, yeah.
time. And this is where, sorry, I got off on a tangent about spitting, but this is where, we get that first little build up to where the sheriff is always calling him, Mel Gibson, father.
Yeah.
Like, don't call me father anymore. Not a priest or that computer from Alien Resurrection.
Don't call me father. He's not Irish. Because obviously he's not just a police officer, a few other people in the town insist on calling him father as well. Almost like his choice to absolve, is that the word? Absolve his faith.
Renounce.
Renounce, thank you. Renounce his faith. It's his choice based on a tragedy he's experienced, but it seems like no one else respects it. Respect my choice, for God's sake. I've already been through enough. My wife has died. If I'm gonna renounce my lost the
Plus, I
word
was
again.
already a farmer busy.
Yeah, I've already got my cob's already crushed. I can't, be a priest as well. It's our work. And it seems like everyone in this town just wants their sins, just wants to confess their sins before a potential
Yeah,
alien
that's good
invasion.
when it comes up later. But yeah, so that they have these signs that says Mel Gibson lives here. Get him.
Get him.
Could be like these aliens, especially what we find out what they're after later.
Yeah.
Be like two blokes, two yummy kids. Come and
Yeah.
get them.
Two blokes, two yummy kids. And then it moves pretty quickly then to the evening, doesn't it? When the alien, well,
Yeah,
not an alien at this moment. So I think at this moment, what is believed by Graham and Merrill is that
it's been a
there are some
prank.
pranksters who have come and made the crop circles, and then I think after what happens this evening, they think it's some people from a, a rival farm. Is that way you'd say it?
Wolfington Brothers.
The Wolfington brothers. That's it. The bloody Wolfington brothers. Have you ever seen one of the Wolfington brothers climb up on top of a 20-foot house? Well, you're
No,
gonna.
you haven't. So
Now,
yeah, Mel Gibson wakes up in the night. He hears some clonking about. He goes and gets Merrill and says, "Right, let's go." And this is a sweet little scene, right? Where Merrill's like, "Right, you've got to run out there. You got to
well,
run around. You got to be
is is
crazy."
is it now that they see? First of all, they see a figure on top of the adjacent. There's like a sort of side house. What would you call that?
I think they see him on the roof after they've come out. Yeah, because they think he's jumped up on the roof real quick. So that's is that is this
Yeah,
there?
I
Yeah.
can't.
So
I think.
he sort of says, right, you're gonna go out and you're gonna run out there like you're crazy and tell them
Yeah,
that they're in for a
yell
really,
and curse.
really ass whipping.
Yeah,
And it's quite a nice comedic beat in these early days when he's running around the house. Mel Gibson's like, I'm not very good at swearing. It won't sound convincing.
I've been a priest all these years. I can't just suddenly start effing and jeffing.
Yeah, and he runs around going, I'm going insane with rage.
Yeah, I'm going to say with anger, I'm going to beat your ass. And as they run around the house, they come together on the other side, realizing that Wolferton brothers have got away. And then they hear like this sort of scuttling up onto the house, don't they?
Yeah, and he's like, "Sup, on the roof."
Yeah. And Merrill looks back and yeah, they
Yeah,
and I think when they see the alien on the roof, I swear it was before this scene because they kind of see it and they go, they're back. So that scene, it felt like watching it in super high definition kind of took me out of it a little bit because you could see quite a lot of what this figure was. It didn't look human,
see
but I
his
think I
name tag
remember,
and everything.
but seeing it like I don't know in the cinema or on DVD, I distinctly remember being like, "What the hell is that?" Like the first time I saw it.
Yeah, like just a shaded silhouette figure almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, very very creepy. Um, so yeah, obviously, how does that scene end? The
Well,
Wolf's
they
brothers just kind of
yeah
get away.
they see that the people have gone, and then it cuts us to the next day. They've got the sheriff back round, right? And they're
This sheriff must be sick to the back teeth. Who's this? Who's on the phone? It's Graham Hess again. Oh yeah, Wolverton brothers are stitching him right up. Just go over there. Go
yeah,
over there.
got to go over there and take a statement from you. And this is where they have the point where Meryl basically says, "Well, it's definitely a guy."
Yeah.
So how do you know? How do you know it was a guy? But she's got him. So how do you know it's a guy? Ran around the house dead fast. Because there's some women that can run pretty
I've
fast.
seen some women in the Olympics. They could jump clean over me.
He
And
gets
then
a bit sassy, and he's like, "Fine,
and then Meryl gets
excluding the chance." It's really tell you what, this lesson in not being so defined by gender norms and stereotypes really crushes Meryl's cobs, and he's getting one on him.
his cobs are crushed to absolute dust in
He's
this.
got a bloody
this
cob
scenario.
on,
And then he says he's got a cob on.
Tell you what, excluding the possibility that a Scandinavian athlete woman jumped over me, I think it was a man still. And then
And he says, he blows his own trumpet as well for a moment. He goes, I'm pretty fast and I'm pretty strong.
I'm pretty cool.
I'm pretty cool and sexy too. But somehow this guy managed to avoid me. I don't know what's going on. And I think, doesn't the police officer say something along the lines of, I've heard people can make these cornfields using rope and a couple of boards.
Couple of bits of fence, and then you can do the crushing of the cobs.
You can fold them
that
down
way.
nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fair. They don't have a solution for it, and it's beginning to pick up. Bo comes in at this point and says, "Same things on every channel."
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
Dexter's laboratory that was on earlier isn't on anymore.
Got it.
Um,
Fuming, wouldn't you?
oh, while the police are there, one of their dogs has started to go mad and has attacked Bo, tried to kill her. So Morgan has killed it with a barbecue
Yeah.
fork.
So again, this is another very, very effective sort of scene. Isn't it when the police officer and Graham are out looking at the corn, essentially, just having a look at it?
It is. It's a first visit before the bit with the Wolfington brothers. Not
And I think
really.
yeah, that's right. And the dog has been barking a lot, I think, maybe, or just not
Yeah,
calmed down. They go to
it's
give
meant
it
to be poorly. It says the dog's been sick. They take it
yeah.
outside, and it gets cross with Bo.
So they go to give it a bowl of water. Again, water very prevalent in this movie. They go to slide the bowl of water over towards the dog, and then suddenly he starts growling, and Morgan like moves Bo behind him. He's like, back off, and he says no to the dog. And then we cut away. You don't really see what happened until Graham and the police officer come back, and there's like a barbecue skewer.
Got a barbecue fork in it in the neck.
Yeah. And this is effective, because the dog died, their family dog like turned on them. But also he didn't mean to kill the dog. Like the dog leapt at him.
It said it fell on him.
And so the barbecue skewer just like went through his neck, trying to kill Bo. And then poor little Bo is sat up on the sort of slide thing and with her legs crossed.
Yeah.
Terrified.
It would be.
This is like such a great understated performance by Abigail Breslin as well, little young actress. She just like doesn't say all that much, and she's got this kind of like wide-eyed, almost like angelic sort of face that constantly just like is just in awe of like everything around her.
Yeah, and she's kind of has these nice moments, and I think she's probably like a huge comforting factor for her dad. Like she says in one of the scenes when she tucks him, and then that's what brings him outside to chase the Wolfington brothers / alien. She comes in and says, "There's a monster outside, right? Can I have a cup of water, please?" And he does. You were right, Ben. I apologize. He looks out the window when he gives her a glass of water, and there's someone on the roof because he's spyglassing in. He's like, "People," and he's like,
but that's such a key line, isn't it? Like I don't remember if that was. I swear it was in the trailer originally.
It was in the trailer. There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Yeah, which is like, do you know what I mean? It's amazing. It's just like, well, so she can see a monster, but she's really just cared about hydration. Hydration is important, But yeah, her water thing, her water tick. So she leaves glasses of water half full all around the house. She's like, that one's contaminated. That one's got a hair in it. Morgan
That
drank
one's
out of
got
that.
that one's got amoebas.
Amoebas in it. That one tastes funny. That one's a weird color. Just all that stuff. I've got an excuse for everything, hasn't she?
Karen does this sometimes now, so those are half finished glasses of water about.
Oh yeah, and you just go around smashing them with a baseball bat.
Oh yeah, if aliens ever break in, we'd never be far away. Well, you've seen my big glass of drink I like to have sometimes. Then just
Oh
dunk
yeah,
it over his head.
you could kill at least 10 of them with
Yeah,
that. So going back to the TV channel having the same thing, is that when we finally is that like a news bulletin, right?
yeah, and it's pointing out that there are crop circles all over the world. It shows the scale of what
I
they're
don't
looking
think
at
this
here.
I don't think this would make the news. B, I don't think it would be on every channel. Now hear me out. There there are some weird things that seem to happen all the time, like across, you know, there are crop circle things. I think I saw a video recently. Again, I might just be going crazy because I probably saw it on Twitter, where like a plane was like just completely stopped
Oh, I
dead
saw that. I
in,
saw that.
up in the sky. These things don't make I don't think they make the news because they're like unexplained weird phenomena that could potentially be fake. I just don't think that someone's going to go, there's like 19 different crop circles over the world. You just be like, it's a group from across the world who have coordinated their efforts into making these. And I think the police officer does say something along the lines of that.
Yeah,
But no,
Is it a coordinated hoax?
coordinated
Especially with the
hoax.
internet nowadays, you think that would be straight away? They'd be like, oh, they've
Oh
obviously
yeah, like these
got a
days,
blooming Discord.
100%.
They've got a Discord going. And they've
The
really
different thing here is that there are like lights and like individual objects that seem to be like hovering above
and
the
that
city.
comes in shortly, isn't it? They're like doing they
Yeah.
first do the crop circles, and then the next bit of news is that there are lights in the sky above certain cities. I think they talk about and then
Mm.
Mexico City comes up with a party in a bit, but there are possibly that's the same sort of Central America where there are lights that begin to be spotted in the sky. Both countries' governments that are involved are saying nothing to do with us, and it
Mm.
kind of very quickly escalates this feeling of that there are aliens involved in it. They go to town just now, and um, while they're there is the man in the bookshop that feels they are.
Mm.
It's to sell soda pop because I've
I've
seen
seen
12.
I've seen 11 soda commercials since they've been this news program. He's fuming.
Yeah, he doesn't not a fan. So he's working through those, and this I guess this is the time they go to town. Morgan gets some money for books and immediately zeroes in on getting some, Ladybird's Big Book of Aliens.
Big Book of Aliens. Jason, you got any books on alien life? Yeah. Graham goes to the pharmacy and Meryl goes to like army sign up place. I'm
Yeah, he talks
butchering
about
what that
maybe
probably is.
joining the army at the recruitment office, um, and then have a conversation about they have a conversation. Oh, hey, aren't you Meryl? Weren't you like the home run king? And another person chimes up like, yeah, but he's also the fuck everything up king
Yeah, he also striked out like the most strikeouts as well. He
more
just
than any two
swings
other
that bat,
players.
swings that bat as hard as he can, and sure, he got some amazing home runs, but yeah. And I like the bit where he kind of like pretends to pretends to whack him,
Yeah.
and then like he's
Made you flinch.
made you
Now,
flinch.
now I get a free hit on you. What? No.
That's how it works, mate. Oh, made you flinch again. That basically means I own you now.
Yeah, soz.
And
Um,
when Graham goes to the pharmacy as well, the young lady working there completely ignores the fact that he's no longer a priest. I think he even says, "Don't call me father. I'm no longer a priest." And she just like doesn't react. She just says,
I'd like to get some stuff off my conscience, though. I say shit and bastards and douchebag.
"Yeah,
I think that's the extent of her sins, right? She's talking about things. She doesn't talk about giving people wristies and stuff, right?
No, I don't think she does. Does she talk about some sort of sexy time? I'm not sure. But basically, God, just say a couple of Hail Marys and get on with it, innit?
Yeah,
Don't go hunting down a
she
priest.
worries about the swears that she's been doing, and then when Mel Gibson meets everyone at pizza, feel like this isn't an adequate amount of time. He says like meet for pizza in 15.
Yeah, 15 minutes to do all this stuff. It's pretty. I'd be like, what?
Sign up for the army, find a book to buy. You've got to go to the pharmacy,
Yeah. Oh, so
count
he
your
goes
pills
to the
out.
pharmacy to get Morgan's asthma medicine.
Asthma medicine, right?
Again, every single plot point and plot device and every single character trait is key to something. There's
Yeah,
it
absolutely, it
sets
is.
up something else without feeling heavy-handed or Chekhov's. You're not looking
Yeah,
at it going Chekhov's asthma,
that's Chekhov's asthma medicine. That's Chekhov's. Yeah, like we
Chekhov's
have
baseball bat.
we have the glasses of water and the baseball history and the
Hmm.
all these other things, but at no point, and from a narrative standpoint, those are technically all of Chekhov's things,
Yeah,
but it never feels particularly on the nose. There is so much here in it that you don't find yourself thinking, well, that's going to be that. That's going to be a thing.
yeah.
That's
You don't give it a
going to be
second
a
thought,
thing.
really. Like the water stuff. I mean, first time I saw this movie, I don't think I gave it a second thought.
Mhm.
And then the next time you don't look at it like, oh yeah, God, they're setting up this for later. It just feels like a very organic part
Yeah,
of the story.
kind of a natural progression. The last bit we get in town is that a man pulls up M. Night Shyamalan himself. And don't worry, it's not a mistake. The director hasn't accidentally put the camera on backwards and filmed himself just driving to set.
He goes, "He goes, oh,
Yeah. Oh, no, but
that,
he's meant to be in it. He's done it on purpose. He
yeah."
is a character who, well, I think it's made fairly clear
Well, I
is
don't think we
him.
know at this point because I think someone just says, "Is that him?"
Is that him? And they say yes. And then he gets in the car. He has a good look at Graham and goes, "No,
See you
thanks.
later.
He's off. He's on the way."
Because like the nature of how uh Graham's wife Colleen and the mother obviously of the kids died is only like we only get little snippets of it. We see like these little moments, where so M. Night Shyamalan plays a character called Ray Reddy. What's he ready for? Not driving.
Not driving home late at
Not
night.
driving home late at night. So we see like a moment where Graham's approaching like some flashing lights. There's obviously been a car accident, and that's it. And then we go back to the story. So everything's kind of just really we just dip in and out of it, and we're not given the whole picture until other things kind of come together. When other things come together, all this talk of coincidence and fate, and the all of those things. There's obviously a discussion that's had between Graham and Merrill as well, where they're talking about it.
So we see, I guess, in the scenes that follow this one, we see things continue to
Continue to
escalate.
escalate, don't they? Yeah.
So the kids, um, in particular, are looking. Morgan, in particular, is looking at this alien book that he's got from the shop, and he's reading into it. And before you know it, the image behind me, the kids are wearing tin foil on their heads. When they first get back from town, Morgan has got one of those old baby monitors, and it begins to pick up a signal, which at first, and I love this bit where Merrill is basically saying, "Hey, this is a conspiracy. Lots of other people who've never had girlfriends.
Yeah.
Girls can be crop circle weirdos too, Merrill. Lots of people who have never had a partner have been are making these up so other people will think, other nerds will think they're cool. They were doing it 20 years ago, they're doing it now. And then it's so great from a storytelling perspective to see Meryl get into this as the Morgan
Yeah,
holds
so
up the
quickly
thing.
as well.
Before you know it, um, Graham is going to let go of the walkie-talkie as it begins to pick up a signal, and he's like, "Don't, we'll lose the signal. We need
Yeah.
to." And they're
The
hearing
baby Bono.
like these creatures like clicking and going, "Oh," to discuss with each other.
What's
Um,
that?
yeah, it's them. So they're all talking about that over the baby monitor, and Bo can and Bo's baby monitor, and the others can hear them.
Hmm.
Um, but this then escalates. Um, Mel Gibson has kind of insisted that the family aren't watching the TV or the radio because he doesn't want the children to be scared by the news, but they accept that maybe they watch it just for a little while or see what's going on for the news. And you see the family kind of sucked into this discussion while Morgan is also reading the book that talks about the origins of the aliens and has proof, if you like. And that kind of exceeds and continues to grow in its stature over the course of the next movie. By the next morning, Meryl has moved the TV into the under the stairs cupboard so the children don't get obsessed with watching it, but at the same time is obsessively
Deeply
watching it. He
obsessed.
is like, there's one bit where he's like fallen asleep behind the in front of the TV, and he wakes up and immediately is watching it again because it's like the endless news cycle of terror. I think when Mel Gibson next comes back, Graham comes in, he says, the lights in the sky have gone, but the things are still there. And we don't even see this, but it is so perfectly recreated that you can picture it in your mind of a bird flying along, hitting what is an invisible wall, and then
Yeah.
falling downward.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like Meryl's getting suitably obsessed with everything. And we are as well. We're right there with him, like trying to find out more because all the little sightings of these alien creatures are sort of just drip fed throughout the movie. And there's obviously, is this where we see Graham going out into the cornfield again at night and hearing sort of some.
Yeah, we get like
No,
a
he's like being really cynical as well. And at this point, he's just like,
oh, why
go
aliens?
away,
Yeah, and
Walker
then we
Brothers.
see, and that's it. He hears another sound and he goes out at night, and he is verbally trying to confront what he believes is the situation. Right? He says, um, "Yeah, I think this is after the evening where he's had a conversation with Meryl, and he said." Oh, can you give me some kind of comfort like you used to do?
Yeah.
We've had a bit of a flashback to what originally happened. Here we haven't seen the full breakdown of it yet, but we've had the piece where he's spoken to the sheriff on the day his wife had been hit by the car 6 months ago now, and they've said, "Do you understand what has happened?" She's been, I think, does it cut at this point where it says which ambulance is she in? She says she's not in an ambulance. I
Yeah.
think
She's not an
that's where
ambulance. She's walked home.
yeah, she's back actually. She told me not to bother you. It's not that at all. Much worse.
Yeah.
But this is where before that night, I think Meryl's had a conversation with Mel Gibson. You can't give me any sort of comfort like you used to, and we
Yeah.
get possibly one of the speeches of the movie, right? Which is there are a lot of people that see those lights in the sky, and they think that they're worried because everything that's happened to them is, if it's luck, it is a happy turn of coincidence. It's how things have happened, and they see those lights in the sky and they are alone in facing whatever it is. And then there are people who see signs, who think there is someone watching out for us, who sees the lights in the sky and sees a miracle. I'm one of the people in the that category that just sees it as a coincidence now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a guts full.
Yeah.
I've had a guts full. Well, again, there's all this discussion of like faith and fate and all of these things that these characters are all going through some kind of journey.
Yeah.
They
And
start
there's
this movie in a certain mindset and they'll end this movie in a certain mindset. And
and there's trauma there as well. Obviously, we've seen Bo talk to Graham and say, "Why do you talk to Mom when you think no one's listening? Does she ever answer?" We see her quickly quite a troubled child, and Morgan has those moments where kind of beginning to resent his dad. He has a conversation with Meryl at some point where he says, "I wish you were my dad," and he tells him off, "Says, do you ever say
oh,
that?"
don't say that. But that's the thing because Graham Hess is going through his grief in one way, and unfortunately, because of that, he's finding it hard to support his kids in another
Yeah,
way.
in the
It's
way
not.
that they might want to. Like he doesn't listen to them, and a little bit later, when I think he begins to come to terms with what is going on, he asks to see Morgan's Alien book, and he's like kind of scoffing, says, "If you're not going to pay, if you're going to be rude, I'm not going to show you." And it's like he says to Nelson, "You had a tone," and he
Yeah,
tries
you
to
had a
do.
tone about the
He
book,
tries.
and there is something quite effective in this book as well, isn't there? Because there's an image in the book of like a UFO burning a house, and there's like dead people on the lawn.
The exact number of them.
The exact number of them, and it looks at their house as well. And one of them says it kind of looks a bit like our house,
Yeah.
and even that, like all of these sort of premeditated.
And Morgan's had a not Morgan, Bo has had a dream, and she says to Morgan, like, "I don't want you to die." It feels like these things, things are stacking up against them.
Have you got one of your feelings again? Says,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
and that's when Graham gets a call from Ray Reddy.
Big bad Ray Reddy. I mean, an unexpected call, you would say, from the man
Yeah.
who was responsible, obviously accidentally, for your wife dying in a tragic accident.
Yeah, and we know he wasn't drinking; he just fell asleep at the wheel,
Yeah.
and was yeah,
And then he's like, I didn't know who else to call. All right. But
and then yeah, and it turns out Ray Reddy said, like, I've been meaning to call you every day for 6 months, and I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it since the accident. Um, which probably has made Graham and his family's situation worse. Like it's an unwinnable situation. You don't necessarily want to hear from the person who has, albeit accidentally, been responsible for the death of your wife, but at the same time, it's kind of preventing them from moving along with their lives.
yeah, of course.
And Ray kind of says, "Look, I've been wanting to phone you for an amount of time. I don't know what to do. I think the world could be ending. I am going to the lake. I've got a lake house. I'm going to stay there. Um, by the way, I found one of those. I found one of them in my pantry. I've locked it in. Don't let it out." And
Don't let it out.
we get another great scene. And again, some cool
Yeah,
comedy
so when
beats as well. He's like, got the paddy wagon
yeah.
outside. I am the police.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what we can understand from Graham Hess is he's not good at like being threatening in any
Yeah.
sort of way, and even pretending to be a police officer. Oh yeah. So Ray Reddy said he's going to the lake house because he heard somewhere that they were scared of water,
Yeah.
wherever they
Well,
are.
it says there are no crop circles near water, so he
No
figures that
crop
they don't
circles.
like it.
There's no crop circles in the water. Well, I think that means that they're scared of water. I don't know about you.
You think they put crop circles, given them on its signposts and communications, you think they put things near the water saying not here.
Not here. Watch out, please.
And
Yeah.
then that night we see this incident where he has gone back out to the fields.
Hmm.
He hears more noises, we see the figures, we see the arm go into the corn, and they've had sorry, I should have gone into the thing, but we skipped it earlier. It's
Was
late.
this bit? Is this bit before the pantry scene? Yeah.
This is before the pantry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he looks there and he shouts across, "I'm not going to report whatever you do to my crops to anyone. You're not going to get famous." And then we get a scary scene where he gets kind of panicked and lost in
He drops his
the
torch, doesn't he?
yeah. But we haven't had any encounters yet. And now this is where we get one after he's been to Ray Reddy's house. He goes in and he's saying, "Oh, we've got the paddy wagon here, and we'll give you the same deal we did to," trying to again rationalize it and hope against hope
That's
that it's
sorry.
going to be a real thing, right?
Sorry, Andy. That scene in the cornfield. The only thing that we didn't mention there is that when he turns around, you do see a little leg go back
Yeah,
into
go
the, and it's a bit squeaky as well. And it makes a weird little noise.
little violin sting.
Yeah, so it's these tiny little sort of hints towards like what might be that we're not seeing. It just builds so perfectly so that when we do get a good look at one in a particular, probably the most effective scene, it's that much more effective because of everything that's come before it. So yeah, in the pantry, obviously he's trying to get a good look at what's under the door using a
Shining under the
knife.
door with a knife, and then I love this
This
bit.
is a jump
Again,
scare as well.
great tension that he's looking and he's trying to see, and you find yourself watching this movie. You're angling your own head. You're like, "Oh,
And
can
he
I?"
kind of gives up for a second. Then he goes, "Oh no, I'm not. I can't
And
see
then
anything. Put the knife
he's like
down."
walks back and tries to have another go. And at that point, that hand comes out from under the door, chops its fingers off with the knife,
Screeches
brings
as
it
well, doesn't
down.
it? Screeches, the claws on the floor, like sound
Yeah,
in terms of like the sound design is so good in that moment because it is a jump scare, but it's not like violins like really getting us. It's just like his gasp, the alien scratching its fingernails on the thing, and then the slice taking its fingers off with a knife.
yeah, it's great. It's a great, great scene, and it comes right into the back of another one because while he's away here, um, Merrill is watching the news, and that's where he sees the footage from Central America. Tells those children to vamonos, and
So they say like we've just got this footage in from a birthday party in Brazil.
Brazil,
Brazil.
yes, because Mexico is
What
where the lights were seen.
we want to tell you is that this is real. That's what they say first. This is real. We just
This is
got it.
real.
So
It's just
obviously, I guess the worldwide opinion at the moment is that something very strange is going on, and perhaps it's aliens. No one really knows. It's very odd. This is the first evidence that there is an alien race
yeah,
down on planet
we
Earth.
see what can only be described as a stretchy green man.
Stretchy Green Man. And the reason it creeps me out so much, right, is because it reminds me of I used to love. Is it Strange but True? It used to be on ITV,
Yes,
presented by
yeah.
the guy from This Is Your Life. What's his name?
Michael Aspel.
Michael Aspel. And there was loads of stuff like this all the time. And obviously we saw videos like Bigfoot and videos of like a big cat on the
The
moors.
Beast of Bodmin
East of
Moor.
Bodmin Moor, yeah, and stuff like that. When you see really grainy footage, and suddenly it would like pause and stop on this moment, and it used to really, really scare me as a kid. And I think that it reawoke something like that in me. That this moment, even though you know I'm not in the middle of an alien invasion, it just really made me terrified. And I think it affected so many people because it was unexpected as well. I think
Yeah,
no one
we got
expected to suddenly see it.
we get good. And Joaquin Phoenix's reaction here, when he's like, literally, I'm watching someone watch TV, and it is such a great reaction. He's like, oh, like leaning
Yeah,
backwards.
he's like he gasping, covering his mouth. He's like, "No, God,
It's
thou
like
else,
me what
children."
let me watch like me watching that sleeping bag scene. That was I was like Joaquin. I
You
was like,
were
oh,
you were
watching
Joaquin.
watching what happened. And then he gets back, same as my background image here. The whole family now have their tinfoil helmets on, so the aliens can't read their thoughts. And Graham puts his plan to them that
Yeah.
we should go to the lake. They
Oh yeah, they do a little
um
vote, don't they? Yeah.
they do a little vote, um and he's outvoted effectively because Bo changes her vote. They're going
And
to
he
stay
goes,
at the
"My
house.
vote counts as two because I'm both parents essentially." And they're like, "That's bullshit." Who says it's bullshit? I think
Morgan says it's bullshit because
Morgan
that's
says it's
bullshit.
bullshit. And then
Um,
Mo changes Mo,
Bo.
Bo.
Yeah, Bo
Oh.
changes her vote, and then so it doesn't matter. They're going to stay at the house. So they begin to prepare, and they're going to board up that house. And another this film, you forget that it is absolutely packed with incredible lines, and it's like we're going to board this house up. We're going to board up every window and door to this house. Meryl says, like, what do you think? Why do you think that boarding up the house is going to make any difference? To which he responds, because they seem to have a problem with pantry doors. And
Yeah.
that is the only explanation or confirmation you ever get between these two brothers that he has seen an alien.
Yeah.
Be the
I've seen
first thing
his
you said,
fingers at
wouldn't it?
least, and I
You get
sliced
in
them right
there.
up.
I was at Ray Reddy's house. We were all right now, by the way. I guess I've forgiven him.
Me and him like
But
that.
um, bloody alien in his pantry.
Bloody
Uh,
alien.
and then we get everything start. It starts getting together. They're boarding up the house, and then things go a bit south between them because he offers everyone exactly what they want for dinner. There's waffles and
Luckily, exactly what they want for dinner. They've got in. They don't have to deliver it.
yeah,
Uber Eats.
they've got a full set, so you can have French toast and mashed potatoes, you can have spaghetti, you can have chicken teriyaki, and you can have a cheeseburger. They've
If you
obviously got a
want,
well stocked freezer,
yeah, cheeseburger because he says I'm having a cheeseburger with bacon, extra bacon. One
extra
of them's
bacon,
having mashed potato, French toast. It's a good dinner table, family dinner scene slash food scene because I think every time I watch it, I'm kind of hungry. I think it's maybe the talk of the French toast. I think
and
for your
then
last meal, don't know, I'm not going anywhere near mashed potato.
I don't know if it's your favorite.
That's true, actually.
What
Yeah.
if you're a puppet badger?
if I'm a bodger or a badger, or does bodger like it as well?
I don't know. I don't think Bodger's feelings on mashed potatoes are ever made expressly clear.
Yeah, maybe he's indifferent. He's
But
indifferent to it.
everybody knows that Badger loves mashed potato. So maybe
Everybody knows.
Maybe Morgan has got at least that in common with Badger.
Yeah, the mashed
Um,
potato one. But
oh
what I hate
God,
about this
for
scene as well,
international listeners, I'm so sorry. Lost you all on that one. But
we've already
um,
mentioned what's his name, Bod, not Bod, Pod, Bob,
Pob.
Pob.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm giving you all a Google workout today. Learn all about Pob. Learn all about Bodger, Simon Bodger, rest in peace, and his mate Badger.
His mate Badger. Love mashed potato. Absolute chaos.
Absolutely fucking loves mashed
What also
potato.
annoys me about this scene, Andy, is a waste of food. They definitely don't finish their dinner.
Oh yeah, because they have a big fight, don't
They have
they?
a big fight, a big
Because
emotional fight where everyone's crying and
does it
hugging.
begin
And
where he wants to, where Meryl wants to, like they think, oh, I think we should do a prayers,
oh yeah,
and Mel Gibson says,
shove up your ass.
"Fuck's sake, I am not wasting a second on prayers actually,
This
because
is like where
I hate
all of this
God and he's
tension,
shit."
all of this tension throughout the film, where Mel Gibson's been repressing this like former life and kind of like he's got this anger from what's happened to him that he's just like I've wasted my whole life, or how he feels in this moment is that he wasted his whole life on faith and prayer and God, and then his wife was just taken away from him, so he's just got this anger, and it's finally in this scene it comes spilling out, and
It comes out of
it's almost like a relief for the family as well because they all start crying as well. Like there's a relief that tension can finally come out. He's almost
such it's such an explosive scene. Such an explosive scene. Sorry, Ben, you were saying like he's almost
I'm not sure, but yeah, I think I made my point there.
he's almost something. Yeah, and it explodes out of them all, and then Morgan tells his dad that he hates him. The little girl is crying, like Bo is crying. He goes, "Stop crying."
Oh yeah, there is a great moment here when they all eventually like hug, still crying, and Meryl gets like dragged into it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be in the hug, but he gets in there as well.
Yeah.
And then, like, well, if you're not going to wait, I'm going to try some of everything. And he's
Oh yeah.
absolutely breaking down. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
he's breaking down. It's all going through. At this point, I think we've had a little bit of an extension of the death of his wife as well. We've seen the sheriff explain to Graham that she's pinned in such a way that her cobs have been
Yeah.
crushed,
Oh
but
god.
but the way that she's been pinned by the car
Mm.
is effectively keeping her alive. And he says, "Do you like again?" I found myself, watching this, and it's a film I've seen countless times.
Mm.
Um, Maybe I'm tired, but really emotional. Like, found
Yeah.
myself feeling really quite upset and saddened by this because you can imagine being in this situation, a person that is your whole world is, a huge part of your family, the real linchpin of like many people's existence is their spouse, and then to be told she
I
won't be
definitely.
she won't be saved. He goes, "Do you understand?" Like, and having to repeat it, which is a common thing, right? If someone, policeman or a doctor or someone is telling you something, to understand
Yeah.
that you to confirm for them that you've properly taken in the information. Their training suggests they will ask you to confirm your understanding, not by saying yes, but by having to go
Repeat it
through.
back.
And the police officer, the sheriff, says to Graham, "Do you understand what I've told you?" He confirms, "This is the last time I'm going to speak to my wife."
Mm.
Incredibly sad.
Incredibly sad, and obviously there's a lot of talk about the coincidence of this as well. And Ray Reddy mentions earlier that just in that he fell asleep for seconds, and in those exact seconds that he passed Colleen, that he crashed into her and killed her, was like it was
It
meant to
was
be,
yeah, it was
essentially.
like it was meant to be if
Like
you've
there was a
fallen
higher
asleep
power,
seconds later or before. Yeah,
and that's what gets discussed from now onwards is that there is this higher power that's kind of like guiding all these things into place. And again, it's not necessarily a religious thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're supposed to believe that religion is making that there is a higher power, there is a God, there is something like that making all these things happen. It's just like our perception of faith and fate. Those words are similar, but they're both thematically
Yeah.
ever present during these moments. And obviously he kind of thinks that Colleen is saying random things in her last moments because she says
See,
tell Morgan to see.
he says
That,
like he says
oh no, tell
she,
Graham to see.
she just says see and then says swing away.
Swing
And
away.
like
And tell
it's
Meryl to swing away, yeah.
yeah, and he recounts that at some point. I think when he's having the conversation about signs, and he says, "Do you know what it means that she said that?" It means that the neurons in her brain were firing, and she just happened to remember one of your baseball games.
One of
It
the random
means
baseball games. Yeah,
it
it
means
essentially meant nothing.
it means nothing. But then after this break that we've had with the breakdown and the argument over dinner, they start finishing the preparations to the house before night falls, and they expect something is going to happen because those alien ships have disappeared, and they
Yeah.
expect something to happen anytime now.
But yeah,
And they start then to shift into other memories, and it's as things begin to escalate, and it's holding a great, again, for me, incredible direction. We've had a conversation already about the time that Bo was born, and they're beginning to
yeah.
look at the other things. So he gives
He's
the
telling these
description.
stories as the aliens are like
Yeah,
getting
beating
into
at
the
the
house.
doors, and they're getting into the windows upstairs. Like Meryl's then they're in the house, and he's telling Morgan what happened when he was born.
Mm.
Like a lovely story. And again, you mentioned the way that dialogue feels natural. This feels like it does feel like a performance, or a piece of speech writing that's been given to give it gravity.
Mm.
But if you think about it, naturally, if you think about it, a priest should be quite a good orator. Their job is telling stories.
Yeah.
And this is him telling a story to his son to calm him. It's a bastard alien breaking into your house upstairs.
Yeah.
I think a level of performance would be the expectation here, right? He's telling a story that he's probably had in his head and recounted countless times about the time that his mom, like, she had to go for some surgery after he was born, and they took him away, and he wanted him to see her first, and then the really nice moment that's happening, but they have to retreat into the basement suddenly, and they fucked a few things up. It's a bit like when you get ready to go on holiday and you always forget something at the end. They've forgotten to tie the dog up, so that's another dog they've lost.
Oh yeah.
Because we hear the
You
dog
literally hear the dog
like shout.
barking, and then suddenly,
Guess has been got by horrible aliens, and they're in the house, and they retreat down to the cellar.
and there's a very good shot here where we see the hand of the alien coming under the door. Loves coming under a door. These hands, these aliens, as they're sort of running into the basement. And when they're in there, first of all, the alien's trying to get into the door, and they're both holding it.
Yeah, it's great. Again, the tension of the individual, and you forget
There's like a real panic going on here as well, because
any
the lights they've only got torches, and they're kind of like flying all over the place.
the torches are going everywhere, and there's that scene where Mel Gibson, Graham, is holding on to the doorknob while it's being turned from the other side. Defy anyone to say that this isn't a horror movie with moments like that. I think we've all been there, whether it's been like messing around with a sibling, or actually against real fears. The panic, even in non-dangerous situations, when there's someone trying to hold the door and you're trying to keep them out by holding it on the other side, there is
Are you an alien?
no purer like battle of very basic, like, opposing forces, opposing wills, and that desperation that you feel in trying to stop those things happening. And again, a fantastic line read that has
Mm.
So much meaning behind it. When the doorknob goes, he holds the door and he says, "I'm not ready." Like,
Yeah.
so many, like, he's not ready to hold the door isn't secure, he's not ready for his family to be in danger. At points in the film you think that he perhaps has given up on life himself to a degree as well, and that
Hmm.
he isn't ready for this to be the end.
Mm.
um
Yeah.
and Meryl's there looking for something, and they're able to finally secure themselves in this room. They lock something in there, but as you say, you hear them banging but not trying to get in.
And then we pan over to Morgan, who stood in front of like some sort of opening, some kind of like,
Like a coal chute.
yeah, yeah, that's it. And then right at the last second, this again, this is effective. Creepy hand grabs him, and then everybody panics. Everybody rushes over.
The
The
light gets knocked
torch lights
over.
are just flying all over the place. Meryl like piles just loads of stuff in front of the coal chute to obviously block them out, including one singular like tin of something right at the end that needs to get added on. Bang,
Tin
add
of
that on.
beans.
And but of course now Morgan is having a asthma attack whilst his medicine isn't with them because they
Because they rush
rushed it
down.
down.
They haven't got it with them, so
Yeah.
they're in trouble.
So this is again very tense, but Graham talks Morgan down essentially, talks him through the asthma attack.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of one of the final moments again where he has one more break. He talks to God, we imagine, saying that he hates him because
yeah.
he is
Just for everything that's happening, must be so. He's just like had enough.
yeah.
Like he's gone through so much trauma. Trauma. He's like, am I being tested? Is this a punishment? Like, what is going on? I hate you for the fact that I'm experiencing these things.
Yeah, I would probably say moments like this. Am I being short sighted? Am I missing out a phenomenal Mel Gibson performance? I would argue performance of his career.
Yeah, Braveheart. I mean, depends how you feel about that film, really, doesn't it? This for me is the one that like I've always felt a connection to and has always affected me the
Yeah.
most. Um, so yeah, it's just got so much going on. It's a very nuanced, and there's so many layers to the performance that it is just super impressive. But not just him, everybody else.
Yeah. Everyone, actors old and young, pull a great performance out of this movie. But this is a great, another great tense and hopeless moment. But then he finds the serenity and the calm to be able to carry on
Yeah,
talking Morgan down, and then basically they save the torchlight and they turn it off.
yeah. And I believe like they sleep for a while
Yeah,
because there's a few hours go by, and then that's when they turn the radio on, and there are reports on this radio that the aliens have just suddenly left,
yeah.
suddenly abandoned Earth,
Talk
and
about talk about the news though. Like again, they're like a primitive method was found to defeat. Just say what it
just
is,
say
idiots.
water, because if you say water, everybody listening will hear it and realize that that's, yeah, a primitive method was, yeah, that is annoying because you would just say what it was, wouldn't you? If you're reporting this, you would just say what it was. Um, so yeah,
Reminds me of there's a Grant Morrison Justice League, which is the opposite of this. Oh, Grant Morrison Justice League probably just about predates this, and
hmm,
it's aliens and it's white Martians. If you're not up on your DC lore, Martians in DC Comics, their weakness is fire. Um, and they have psychic powers. They've infiltrated Earth. They're attacking people. They're about to slaughter lots of people, and then the Justice League can't get everywhere, even with their incredible powers. Ben, they can't get everywhere to fight them all at the same time. So a broadcast comes from Superman himself, inspires the people of Earth that they have the power, and says,
oh,
and
okay,
and he broadcasts the message to everyone, and it has to be Superman because even though people have been influenced by psychic things to make them distrust the Justice League, the message that Superman brings breaks through, and he's able to say, "These people are attacking you. we are coming, but we cannot get to you soon enough. But you can protect yourselves. Their weakness is fire. Do not be
Little
afraid of
match.
them. You can get them. And then you see people on the streets light. And this is the bigger scale that we don't see in this intimate movie here, bringing it back to the thing we're talking about rather than the
Mm.
exciting world of the Justice League as well. But you see in these panels of comic um, people lighting newspapers on fire and these aliens that have been like butchering people in the streets all of a sudden cowering as people are towering over them with lit torches and so on. You can imagine on a global scale this kind of thing happening when people establish these aliens' weaknesses and they all of a sudden become not the aggressors, but all of a sudden outmatched by this weakness that they have. Um, I know I can imagine very difficult and joke answers on the weakness from the signs have been done to death. They have attacked a world where a substance deadly to them falls from the sky in a lot of
They just didn't do their
countries.
research, mate, did they? They came down and maybe they just came down. They were, oh, this looks nice, lovely.
Where's
Yeah?
some
What's
where's
that? What are these big bodies of blue liquid?
or wear Max, that'd have been fine.
Don't need to worry about that. Yeah, they would have been fine. So we
Um
kind of think in this moment that it's kind of died down. It's the end. Perhaps the threat is averted, and I just absolutely love the way that it's revealed to us that no, the threat still lingers.
yeah.
And obviously everyone goes back upstairs. Start. I don't know if they start like taking off the boards.
Yeah, they start they
Um,
start they're basically celebrating. There's nothing on the radio. And again, you've talked about how everything's deliberate in this movie. It says on the radio they've left behind that they've rushed away suddenly. They've
the feeling
abandoned the
they're
planet.
injured.
People were people were worried that this was an invasion, and they're coming to terms now that it wasn't an invasion. It was a raid to
Mm,
take people. It was a
yeah,
raid to take people because they use us for food or something like that. But then they've had to leave suddenly, and they've left people. They've left some of their stragglers behind, and
yeah,
we get that just as Mel Gibson brings the TV through, and this amazing reveal you get in the reflection of the TV. He's there, and he's got Morgan, the
he's
very
got
same
one.
alien with the missing fingers that's broken
Yeah, I
out
just love
of
that shot. So
Ray
obviously
Reddy's.
the shot of the TV is great, but also the shot where he just zooms in on the fingers, so we realize that it's the same alien that had his fingers off. I wonder how he got out of the pantry. We'll never know. Maybe he's come here with like a score to settle as well. I was like, you take my fingers, I'll take your son, mate. You all
Yeah,
right?
have it.
And here is where it all just comes together in like it's exhilarating. It's so exciting just the way it comes together because you realize these things as well. It's not like this film doesn't give you the chance if you've never seen it before to work things out yourself. I bet this is what's going to happen, and I bet this is how it's going to come together. This is
Yeah,
just
it's
perfection.
so for me anyway, so intelligently made. It has that real Dr. Watson moment, like in classic Sherlock Holmes stories, the intention of Arthur Conan Doyle and the intention of the Watson character is that he should get it
Mm,
about a second after
yeah,
you, the reader, get it.
yeah,
And the reveal here comes, and it's from a quite ponderous, slow moment, right? Because we get the, I guess, the final visit to when we see Graham speak to his wife for that last time, and
yeah.
her words, which happened 6 months ago, tie all of the all of the things together. Like I forget what her advice. Oh, tell Morgan to play games. Not it's not good to be serious
Yeah, yeah, that's
all the
right.
time. Tell Bo to listen to her brother. Tell and then she tell Graham, so tell himself because she's confused. He's not, tell Graham to see the signs that he needs to see in this situation, and then that advice to Merrill, and then we're cutting back to this intense standoff with the family and this cornered alien who is clearly threatened and scared and is holding Morgan hostage as a don't know, is it they can't communicate with each other, it's clicking and making noises, but is
Mm.
it bartering for its its own survival, its own way to escape? Is it there because it has had its fingers chopped off because of Ray Reddy, who they've been surveying? They are aliens that can travel through space, so they're not monsters, they are intelligent creatures. So it's an enemy soldier effectively,
Yeah.
in your house, having lost a battle, doesn't necessarily have an escape route and is in a desperate situation. And you see as an audience, Graham see those signs and put all the points together. He tells Merrill to swing away, and he does. Hammers him with the
Yeah,
that,
it's
and knocks him
just
backwards, and a bit of water spills on him, and
so
then
we just
it's
realized
revealed
that
as that weakness.
that thing that we thought Colleen, sorry Andy, but that bit that we thought Colleen was just some firing of neurons where she was misremembering something or remembering something, sorry, is relevant to this moment. Tell Meryl to swing away in this moment of great peril, where Morgan's life, because obviously the alien starts spraying it's got like this poison gas that comes out of a little thing in its wrist,
Yeah,
straight into his nose and mouth, and it's just it's almost like, yeah, it just asks those questions of like, mortality and stuff. Like, is everything already set out in front of us, and somehow having that near death experience, of course near death, but having that experience of being so close to death, somehow the path of everyone is out in front of you, and in a way you've like honed in on something that is going to help you survive in that moment.
yeah.
It's fascinating, it really is. And
There's such a wonderful moment of this, how everything has been deliberate, that predetermined nature. Um, Anyone who listens to this will probably have had several clues along the way that I'm in no way a religious person. It's okay to have a little faith. I don't have that myself, but this is a
yeah,
powerful, powerful message
but again,
about things
as you
sinking into
mentioned,
place.
it is a powerful message, but one that almost seems like separate from religion in its way. I mean, like,
Yeah,
what's the word? Agnostic, where you kind of,
yeah. It's not necessarily a sense that this is God, old JC up in the clouds, giving Graham a little salute, saying, "Thanks for your service, buddy. I've set this up to help you."
yeah,
It is it is more about the nature of things fitting into a pattern and there being a reason for things happening,
mm,
because it leads to the perfect outcome in this case. And it
yeah,
does. Merrill grabs the baseball bat, swings away, and then we see the last piece of the puzzle sort of fall in place. As it falls against the TV cabinet, some of those glasses of water that Bo has been consistently leaving everywhere
mm,
spill on him, and it clearly like burns the flesh on this alien. It really hurts it badly. So you found this weakness. And then
fine.
I love this little shot here where the rest of the family go outside, and Bo immediately goes back to look through the window, and we go
Yeah, that's
follow
cool.
them outside. Then we sweep back in through the window here to
And
see Meryl basically now standing up to this alien.
but yeah, it's just another shot as well, where we see all the half full glasses of water, half full or half empty, half full, glasses of water, and obviously then we realize as well, like, oh my god, even that means something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Even that like just felt like a sort of this character trait for Bo, now was suddenly a really key part as well, almost like she knew in some way that was what that was going to be needed too. And yeah, set up perfectly, smashing the glasses of water in the alien's face, burning the absolute shite out of it. We get a nice POV shot as well of the alien as it falls, and the last glass of water falls on its face, burning it.
Imagine, it's probably good that we saw it that way. Probably a horrible sight for Meryl, seeing this alien getting its face burned off by
I feel like he's a type of
water
guy who
pouring
probably
it.
get kicks out of that.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, and then Graham administers the asthma medicine to Morgan, and as he's doing it, he's like saying his lungs were closed because he had obviously the asthma attack. His lungs
yeah.
were
No,
closed. None of the
no
poison
poison
gas
got in.
got in. And again, perhaps in a way, that moment is an intervention from a higher power.
Yeah,
Um,
And that's it, right? We don't get and everyone in the town lived happily ever after. It's
Well,
this.
yeah, that's pretty much the end. But there is a sort of a months later bit when it's snowing outside, and we realize that Graham has returned to the church. But this is the thing: does he believe that or everything that happened was an act of God, and now he believes he's back to his old self, or did he need to go through this to order to rediscover that faith? So essentially, he's rediscovered the faith he had before, but all of these happenings he hasn't necessarily attributed it to being
Not
an
sure
act
if
of God.
not sure enough if go mad, Ben. I don't remember that scene at all.
Oh, don't you?
The one in the snow. Is it on a
Right at the
is
end.
it, is it on like an unrated cut or is it mid credit or
No, no, I think it's pretty much right at the end.
that's
He,
mad.
he kind of steps out, and I think you hear kids in the playing outside. It's almost very similar to the first scene where obviously he wakes up, and then he's like, "Oh my god, he can hear the kids outside." This time I think he just comes out the bathroom, possibly. Who knows what he's done in there?
Don't
Ask,
remember
don't
that at
tell.
all. Maybe I stepped away and thought, oh well, that's the end, which is odd. I just don't remember that bit
He's
at
back
all.
to the church.
Madness.
He's back to the church. He's got his
Oh,
little collar on as well.
now you
Um,
say that now the collar does sound familiar. Don't know why I blanked on that one. Maybe it's late. But yeah, that's that's the movie.
yeah, that is the movie. So, and what a great movie it is. Have you got any name
Oh,
game for
oh
me?
yeah, I've got a couple of name games for you. Do you want to round robin it again as is tradition recently?
Yeah, go on.
Um, so what's the synopsis for the signs? Let me get it up here.
The synopsis is: a widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm finds mysterious crop circles in his fields.
Okay, so a family living on the farm finds mysterious appearances of evergreen trees in his fields.
Pines,
The pines, correct.
the pines, Chris Pines.
Or just pines. It's not sign. It's not the signs. Signs. So pines.
Okay, a widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm finds a mysterious pile of letters on his welcome mat from all the times that all the times that he parked terribly
Oh
in the
no.
town. Huh?
Fines.
Fines. He's got some fines, yeah.
So a family living out on a farm in Pennsylvania finds mysterious kind of quilled rodents have taken residence in his crops.
Quilled rodents.
Yeah, rodents with sort of large rodents with quills they use for defense.
Spines.
So they have spines. You could argue they have spines.
Porcupines.
Porcupines, yeah.
Oh, got layers to it, that one. Got layers to it.
Porcupine spines. There you go.
Porcupine spines. Okay. A widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm finds a mysterious visit from a famous acting family, including Ralph, Joseph. I think
Is
there's
it
a Ranulph as well.
is it also fines?
Is also fines. Yeah, correct.
Um, so a family living on a Pennsylvania farm find mysterious crop circles in their fields, which suggests something more frightening to come. And based on a book that their son reads, it can only be they can only defend against this threat by really polishing all of their silverware until it reflects the maximum amount of light.
Shines.
Shines. That's what you need.
Shines. Yeah, there we go. Uh, all right, I got one more. Um, a widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm find that none of them can just stop moaning, no matter what's happening. I mean, aliens are invading or whatever, but they're just moaning constantly. If anything, it's annoying to be around them.
Even him getting angry and going, "Stop crying," is doesn't.
Stop crying. Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna have some. I'm gonna have some of everything.
when I have the mashed taters,
Yeah. That is wines.
wines, correct.
Um. So a a former priest and his family living on a Pennsylvania farm find crop circles in their fields, and the only thing that helps them relax is little things they can hang up to jingle in the wind and really send some soothing ambient noise.
I think there might be some of these in the film as well. Chimes.
Chimes, correct.
Wonderful. Absolutely
You
wonderful.
got any more?
That's it. That's all I got.
Got
That's all
another
I got
couple.
for
I've
you.
got another couple for you, Ben. Here you go then.
Oh God.
So, family and his family, former priest and his family live on a Pennsylvania farm, find their field suddenly beset with people who, on a digital scale, are pretty close to the top in terms of their looks, but not quite perfect. Only just slightly off perfect, though,
On a digital scale.
on a digital scale, or using I guess, a decimal scale that goes up in factors of 10.
In fact, it's a 10. I'm not sure. I've
So,
used all my brain power.
on a scale of 10, they're pretty good, but they're not quite
Nines. They're bloody
nines.
nines, aren't they? God.
Nines.
I was thinking
Um,
eight.
yeah, nines, and then finally a former priest and his family living on a Pennsylvania farm are shocked when their fields are suddenly inexplicably filled with multiple copies of a one of Europe's largest rivers, which flows through the borders of Switzerland, Germany, Austria, etc.
Oh God. I'm not up to speed on my rivers. Uh
Not up to rivers at 10 to
fine.
1 in the morning.
Chimes. The river nines?
It's
Limes?
it's Rhines.
Rhines. Yeah, I never got it. Very nice.
There we go. There is your name game.
There we go.
Time to rate the film, I guess.
We've obviously been pretty much gushing about this film throughout. How would you rate this film? Because I don't know how you feel, but the way we've been talking about it is like we're going to give it the highest rating possible. But I don't know.
I think I'll go the highest possible, but it is going to be a very strong rating because, um, by the nature of the fact we're covering this film is 20 years old now.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't watched it for a little bit of time. It's been a few years,
Hmm.
but I really think that I really think that it's still held up. I see the criticisms that the dialogue doesn't seem natural, but that doesn't really take me out of it. Like, I enjoyed, let's look at it with recent eyes. I found some of the dialogue incredibly powerful and incredibly moving in films like, again, got a priest in it, got a good orator. Midnight Mass. Was any
Yeah.
of that dialogue even remotely natural? No, it felt
No.
very written. Like, deliberately, it was had some gravitas to it, a bit of panache, a bit of pizzazz. A little, it's been heavily punched up. This is a written program, and
Hmm.
the same is true with this. I found it incredibly effective. It had some good emotions. I find the puzzle box element of it and everything coming together immensely satisfying. Again, we spoke about the taste that maybe Mel Gibson his actions that follow, but I really try to separate that from how much I enjoyed the film. It's bigger than one person that's in it, and for his personal things that have been going on and everything else, he acts really like his acting and his performance in this film is a really good one. I think I'm going with an A. I wonder if I put a minus in there from a horror sense because there are more horror things you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think that's fair.
from a horror sense, I think yeah, I'll go from an A minus when I'm rating this as a horror film, but it's incredibly effective. I think it's an excellent movie,
Yeah.
and
No.
this is if you need any reassurance or if M Night Shyamalan is looking for if you need to look up and say, why is this an iconic horror director of his generation? Look no further than this.
Yeah.
I think it's perhaps his best horror work.
I think it's his best horror work. I think it's his best film as well. And I'm thinking I'm going to join you on an A because I don't know what's stopping it from being like an A plus. I don't know. Yeah. maybe some of the dialogue things, but then again, I've seen it a lot and I'm just so used to it that it doesn't really bother me as such. Maybe just slightly less in terms of a horror standpoint. That sure, it's got some of the most effective scares, but it isn't all about that, you know. The things that are so effective in this is the family dynamic, the family drama, and all the stuff about coincidence and fate and faith, and that is all just as important as the creepy stuff and the yeah, jump scares and unconventional jump scares as well, like jump scares that you wouldn't get in like a film that was pushed towards as being just horror. These are jump scares that feel organic and feel like they have a place in the film. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go for an A. I've always, as I've mentioned, I've always had a huge connection to this film. I've always enjoyed it, and yeah, it still gives me goosebumps now, which I think after seeing it a lot in 20 years, I think that's something to be said as a testament to it. The fact that it can still give you those tingly goosebumps, which I love. You know, watching a movie, the tingly goosebumps are something I'm definitely looking for when I watch a film like that, where you're like, oh yeah, that's cool or that's well done. I think cinematically, don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think it's pretty close.
Yeah,
I love it.
great, great movie. I'm so glad we had an opportunity to go back and
Yeah,
watch it
I
again.
think
I'd forgotten how much I liked it.
we've mentioned it a few times, but I think we had to go and do it, especially since it turned 20. It felt like the time to do it. Okay, there we go. So that
There
was
you go.
fun.
Well, that's one of those things when we started late tonight and thought we'll bang this out, and then we found a film we're both incredibly excited to talk about. So that's okay. Worth staying up for.
Worth staying up for.
Past
Yeah,
M night, we've stayed up.
past M night. We sure have. Ray ready.
It is, yeah. I'm not going to be Ray ready to get up in a few hours' time, but
I am Ray ready for bed. I'll be
yeah,
honest with
I am Ray ready for bed. It's gone past M night by a long old stretch.
you. So there we go. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thank you to our current patrons who include John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Laura Kendrick, Toby Miller, Ollie Child, Leslie Carlo, Julia Bilgren, Nick Spill, and Pazuzu. Um, Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. We're on Twitter at horror_hangout_, and we're on Instagram at Horror Hangout Podcast. Next week, we'll be discussing Silver Bullet, the werewolf movie, which is the adaptation of Stephen King's book Cycle of the Werewolf, and we'll be joined by Janine Pipe, who wrote Sausages, the Making of Dog Soldiers book recently. Huge fan of all things werewolf, so the perfect guest for that episode.
I've been watching more werewolf movies, Ben. I didn't say it. I'm saving it for next week's
Oh,
werewolf
you're saving
movie.
it.
I've been
I'm going to
watching
do
more.
the same.
Been watching more Howlings.
Oh, you have? I've got Howling 2 ready to go.
Oh my
Hopefully
goodness!
for next week, and maybe I'll squeeze in another one or two if I can. Yeah, there we go. So thank you, Andy, for being a right horror dude.
Thanks to you, Ben, for being a right horror dude, and thanks to all you horror dudes out there everywhere.
Remember, we're using dudes as a gender neutral term.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would.
Exactly. Just like them. Okay. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.